launching what the president is calling major combat operations.
Iran's formerly supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead.
Sources say when intelligence officials learned the supreme leader was above ground in his office and meeting with Iran's top leaders, they struck.
God bless you to our incredible warriors, and God bless the United States of America.
One of the more unbelievable weekends that we have experienced as an American community and as a global community. We will attempt to make sense of all of it here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. The Ayatollah is dead. The Iranian military is in shambles. And it seems as though pretty much every Democrat is furious about this. Why? Because President Trump has succeeded where presidents of both parties have been unable to for quite literally 47 years. We will get the history behind what happened this weekend and why all of this was all but inevitable throughout the Dan O'Donnell Show this afternoon. If you would like to join us, 414-799-1130. That is our adventknows.com talk and text line. You can reach us toll free, 1-800-838-9476. You can email me directly, dod@iheartmedia.com. Watch the show streaming live via social media at Dan O'Donnell Show on X. We are also at facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show. You can watch it on Instagram as well. Yes, we are on the gram, kids, as well as on our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe, as the young ones say. Smash that like button and be sure to subscribe to the Dan O'Donnell Show podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to podcasts. Just a couple of minutes ago, Secretary of State Marco Rubio provided an update on why it was this weekend that the United States military and the Israeli military needed to strike against Tehran.
The question that's been asked is, why now? Well, there's two reasons why now. The first is it was abundantly clear that if Iran came under attack by anyone, the United States or Israel or anyone, they were going to respond and respond against the United States. The orders had been delegated down to the field commanders. It was automatic, and in fact, it bared to be true, because in fact, within an hour of the initial attack on the leadership compound, the missile forces in the south and in the north, for that matter, had already been activated to launch. In fact, those had already been pre-positioned. The third is the assessment that was made that if we stood and waited for that attack to come first before we hit them, we would suffer much higher casualties. And so the president made the very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed. And then we would all be here answering questions about why we knew that and didn't act. Going back to the purpose of this is to destroy that missile capability. Why does Iran want that ballistic missile capability? What they are trying to do and have been trying to do for a very long time is build a conventional weapons capability as a shield where they can hide behind their nuclear ambitions. They are producing, by some estimates, over 100 of these missiles a month. Compare that to the 6 or 7 interceptors that can be built a month. They can build 100 of these a month, not to mention the thousands of one-way attack drones that they also have. They've been doing this for a very long time, and by the way, they've been doing it under sanction. You see the attacks they're conducting right now? They're attacking airports, they're attacking hotels, they're hitting not just military bases, they're attacking our embassies directly, they're attacking facilities that have nothing to do with war or with military, and that's a weakened Iran. That's in Iran despite years of sanction. Imagine a year from now, or a year and a half from now, the capabilities they would have to inflict damage on us. It's an unacceptable risk, especially in the hands of a regime that's run by radical clerics. The Ayatollah was a radical cleric. That entire regime is led by radical clerics.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio literally just a couple of minutes ago explaining why there was in fact an imminent threat to United States interests that necessitated allowing Israel to undergo that strike when it was known that the Ayatollah Khamenei, as well as dozens of his top advisors, were all going to be gathered in one place. The idea was to cut the head off the snake and then follow up by just completely neutering any ability for a meaningful retaliatory strike. That is what you've seen over the past couple of days. Now, Democrats who completely forgot about the War Powers Resolution of 1973 from the years 2009 to January 20th, 2017, during the Obama administration, where he literally took out Muammar Gaddafi in Libya without ever filing a declaration of war, getting a declaration of war from the United States Congress. So this has been debated pretty much all weekend. Whether or not this was somehow an illegal strike, it clearly, as you just heard Secretary of State Marco Rubio outline, was not. War Powers Resolution was passed in 1973, actually over the veto of then-President Richard Nixon. And it actually limits the president's ability to commit armed forces to any sort of hostilities abroad, because Nixon was doing this, essentially expanding the Vietnam War well beyond what was initially intended. Interestingly enough, as you have undoubtedly heard, Congress retains the war power. Congress has the ability to declare war. Do you know the last time that war was formally declared by the United States Congress? It was ahead of the United States' entry in World War II. While it is true that Congress does have that congressional authority, the president does have the inherent authority as the commander-in-chief of the United States military. Now, the conflict between these two inherent powers, the declaration of war power of the Congress and the president's inherent commander-in-chief power, came to a head in the early 1970s with the expansion of the Vietnam conflict, and this led to the War Powers Resolution. The president under it must consult with Congress, quote, in every possible instance before introducing any sort of U.S. force into a hostility abroad. That is the standard. Congress must be notified in writing within 48 hours of committing forces to hostilities. That clearly happened. Now, the president must consult Congress, but what we now have is a situation in which there are 435 members of the House of Representatives, 100 members of the United States Senate, and roughly 50% of them, I'll give you a hint, it's those with a D next to their name, probably can't be trusted not to tell the enemy the war plans. This is fundamentally what happened here. The United States obviously can't inform all 535 members of Congress in the House and the United States Senate, regardless of whether they've got loose lips that might sink ships or not. It's simply not practicable. So what the Secretary of State actually did, and this got lost in the shuffle, nobody remembers this because it happened on the day of the President's State of the Union address last Tuesday, is he actually briefed top members of both Democrats and Republicans on the Hill, including Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, about the imminent threat of Iran. There was a very famous picture that, of course, immediately got lost in the sort of news vacuum of the president's State of the Union address. After the president gives that speech, it's sort of like everything that happened before just gets sucked up and all of the focus is simply on the speech. But there was a picture of Schumer looking ashen-faced and positively terrified after coming out of that briefing with Secretary of State Rubio. Clearly, that was the president and his designated administrative aide, Rubio, the Secretary of State, consulting with Congress. So under the War Powers Resolution, the president must withdraw forces within 60 days, which is extendable by an additional 30 more days to allow for a safe withdrawal if it's certified in writing and delivered to the Congress, unless Congress declares war. I will not disagree with the notion that Congress has, over the past 80 years, essentially delegated its war powers under the Constitution. However, because war is simply not fought like it was in World War II or earlier, you'll notice that there are no Americans in trenches right now. In fact, it is almost certain that while the president did say that this is likely to go 4 or 5 weeks, or in his words today, even longer, because he said he's not going to get bored, It is very likely that this conflict is going to be over relatively quickly. How do I know that? Because we thought we were going to be embroiled in a global conflict in Venezuela when the United States executed an arrest warrant over former dictator Nicolas Maduro. That conflict was over in a matter of hours. Already, the United States and Israel have established air superiority over the entire region, and it is entirely possible that Iran's entire naval fleet is sunk. The president keeps repeating the same message to Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps: lay down your arms. You will be completely pardoned. We will absolutely allow you to surrender peacefully, and you will have full immunity. And what he said in a video message yesterday that we will get into on the Daily Trump Date coming up in about an hour or so, what he said was, look, Iranian citizens, ultimately this is up to you. This is your country. It is time for you to strike down the last of that snake that has poisoned your beautiful culture for the past 47 years. We have cut the head off. It is time for you to do the rest. And the president, earlier today, during a Medal of Honor ceremony at the White House, outlined the 4 major objectives of this conflict.
Our objectives are clear. First, we're destroying Iran's missile capabilities, and you see that happening on an hourly basis, and their capacity to produce brand new ones, and pretty good ones they make. Second, we're annihilating their navy. We've knocked out already 10 ships. They're at the bottom of the sea. Third, we're ensuring that the world's #1 sponsor of terror can never obtain a nuclear weapon. Never going to have a nuclear weapon. I said that from the beginning. They're never going to have a nuclear weapon. They were on the road to getting one legitimately through a deal that was signed foolishly by our country. And finally, we're ensuring that the Iranian regime cannot continue to arm, fund, and direct terrorist armies outside of their borders.
Coming up on the Dan O'Donnell Show today, the idea that this was somehow a war the United States started is utterly laughable. In fact, Iran started this all the way back in 1979 amid the chaos of the revolution that overturned the reign of the Shah. We will get into that history, the very long history of Iranian aggression and deadly assaults on American troops and American civilians alike. That is coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, we are going to debunk in very short order every single left-wing talking point that you have undoubtedly heard since the invasion, or rather, since the strike was first announced. There is no invasion. It is almost certain there are going to be no American boots on the ground. That's just another one of the myths that you're hearing. There's not going to be a forever war. This is not going to be a quagmire like Afghanistan or Iraq. Quite simply, American technological superiority is so vast that there is literally nothing that a nation like Iran or its allies, which have gone suspiciously silent in the last couple of days, such as China and Russia, there's nothing that they can do about it. In fact, both Iran and Venezuela were using supposedly the most state-of-the-art anti-missile technology coming from China. Turns out that just like most other stuff that comes out of China, it was revealed to be cheaply made junk. Now, hours before, Secretary of State Marco Rubio briefed the country on just what the imminent threat was that allowed the War Powers Resolution to kick in and authorized this strike. President Trump also said fundamentally the same thing at this Medal of Honor ceremony this morning, that there was an imminent threat, that anything that was about to happen would have led to American troops in jeopardy, American interests being threatened, and almost certainly an attack on American lives.
Today, the United States military continues to carry out large-scale combat operations in Iran to eliminate the grave threats posed to America by this terrible terrorist regime. Following our obliteration of Iran's nuclear program in Operation Midnight Hammer a short while ago, we warned Iran not to make any attempt to rebuild at a different location because They were unable to use the ones that we so powerfully blew up, but they ignored those warnings and refused to cease their pursuit of nuclear weapons. In addition, the regime's conventional ballistic missile program was growing rapidly and dramatically, and this posed a very clear, colossal threat to America and our forces stationed overseas. The regime already had missiles capable of hitting Europe and our bases, both local and overseas, and would soon have had missiles capable of reaching our beautiful America.
And that's fundamentally where the threat lay. As Rubio sort of further elaborated after briefing the so-called Gang of 8 key leaders in Congress, there is going to be a more full briefing from the President of the United States, which I believe may be going now. That's why we are going to be waiting. It is entirely possible the President is not scheduled to speak, but it is entirely possible that he holds an impromptu press conference following that congressional briefing, if there is, in fact, a broader briefing following the one from Secretary of State Rubio that just wrapped up. We were told that it is entirely possible that the president could be coming out and speaking, so we will be on alert for that. But fundamentally, that's what this was all about. It was Iran trying to restart its nuclear weapons program under the guise of dramatically increasing the number of potentially intercontinental ballistic missiles. It was dramatically increasing its supply and its ability to produce regional ballistic missiles, and it was attempting to go bigger and bigger and bigger. And all the while, it was simultaneously, it was adjudged by American and Israeli intelligence that it was trying to restart its nuclear program after said program was utterly decimated by the destruction of the Fordo nuclear facility in Operation Midnight Hammer over the summer. When we come back here on the Dan O'Donnell Show in about 3 minutes, we will elaborate further on the War Powers Resolution, why this was not only legally justified, but necessary to strike Iran.
Comer and Cross guys were in my garage at 9 o'clock in the morning, and by 2, I had a brand new gleaming Comer and Cross floor, and it's everything they promised. My brand new garage floor literally gleams. Comer and Cross crews gently took everything out of the garage, including the pizza oven and the boxes of baby books, and then got to work. They ground my pitted, stained garage floor down to bare concrete. Then they added their top-of-the-line coating. It's the Domino, the black and white fleck. It looks like a brand new garage. Gone are the salt stains, gone are the rough edges, gone are the years of parking cars on top of bare concrete. It is every bit the gleaming new floor that Gary and his team at Comer and Cross promised. And you can have one too. Jay talked about how much people would come by just to see his floor. Can't wait to show mine off. Comer and Cross. Call them today. 262-788-6430. That's 262-788-6430. Or find them online at comercross.com.
Holidays amplify depression and anxiety that afflict good people. Intravenous ketamine therapy empowers patients to reset and restore their relationships, especially their most important relationship, the one with themselves. R&R for Relief, Reset Restore MD, Brookfield and Mequon. rnrmd.com.
A small business affirmation from Progressive. Bakery owners, you will be loved today. Every pastry will be flaky. Your cake will make a child's day. Your delivery van won't get sideswiped by a distracted garbage truck driver. But if so, breathe easy, knowing you'll get back to business quickly with Progressive protecting your commercial auto. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Following the attacks on 9/11/01, FDNY firefighter Daniel Foley assisted in the rescue and recovery efforts at Ground Zero. Daniel spent months and months searching for victims. Now, Daniel's death was the direct result of 9/11-related cancer. He leaves behind his wife, Carrie, and their children. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family's home. Join us. Donate $11 a month to the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Make News Talk 1130 WISN your number one preset on our free iHeartRadio app. Powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
There used to be a day when the national news media prided itself on getting the story right. Those days are gone. Now, it's slanted stories, unnamed sources, and fake news. The goal no longer is to inform you. The goal is to indoctrinate you. Here at News Talk 1130 WISN, our show hosts will give you straightforward information and honest analysis. That is our commitment, and that is our daily mission. News Talk 1130 WISN. Real life, real news, real good.
Sorry if I don't see you. Remind me of my eyes cross you. Keep in mind I'm not here. I'm in a different zone.
Talk radio redefined.
Sorry if my words hurt you. Wish I knew the time to lie to you. Keep in mind I'm not here from a different world.
You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
Just a couple of minutes ago, right before the Dan O'Donnell Show started, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, after briefing the Gang of Eight key congressional leaders, talked about the imminent threat that necessitated an American-Israeli strike over the weekend.
There absolutely was an imminent threat, and the imminent threat was that we knew that if Iran was attacked, and we believed they would be attacked, that they would immediately come after us. And we were not going to sit there and absorb a blow before we responded, because the Department of War assessed that if we did that, if we waited for them to hit us first after they were attacked, and by someone else, Israel attacked them, they hit us first, and we waited for them to hit us, we would suffer more casualties and more deaths. We went proactively in a defensive way to prevent them from inflicting higher damage. Had we not done so, there would have been hearings on Capitol Hill about how we knew that this was going to happen, and we didn't act preemptively to prevent more casualties and more loss of life.
That is exactly true. We are, by the way, also going to answer questions throughout the day that you might have about the Iran airstrikes, because I understand that for a lot of you, this can be difficult to understand. And by a lot of you, I mean people like Bill from Oconomowoc. He must have been just amped up all weekend waiting for today so he could call up and ask what I can only presumed to be a disingenuous question. Bill, the floor is yours. Sir, go away pretending not to understand something that's easily understandable.
Good afternoon, Dan, and thank you for giving me a time to represent real Republicans, not rhinos. Mm-hmm. Now the story has changed. According, we just heard Mark Rubio, less than 72 hours. This was a preemptive strike. Okay, I'm not even going to talk about that. What I'm going to talk about, what about the Iranians?
Well, wait, hold on a sec. Why bring up something that you're not going to talk about, Bill? You're going to bring up something that is okay. Go ahead. I realize I'm dealing with like a 40-point gap in the IQ, so I'll let you go.
In America, mm-hmm. There's Iranians in America. How are they prepared to handle when they let off their stuff in America? How are you prepared? How is the rhinos prepared?
How are you prepared? Wait. Hold on a sec. Did you just accuse Iranians in America of all being terrorists, Bill?
No, you weren't listening, Dan. That's exactly.
No, this is exactly what I'm sort of talking about. There's a whole lot of Iranians in the United States. What's going to happen when they let off all their stuff? It seems like what they were letting off was like whoops of celebration. Bill, I want to play something for you, because earlier today, I know what you actually wanted to talk about. You have a tendency to sort of get discombobulated here, but I guess that's sort of understandable. It's an excitable time. I want to play for you. This is actually just a statement today from a War Department attorney, because you wanted to talk about the War Powers resolution, right? You wanted to talk about why this is not an authorized strike, correct? Yeah. And why it's totally illegal. Okay, I want you to respond to, this is Harold Coe saying that the War Powers resolution, this is from the Defense Department, okay? This is from the Department of Defense.
When U.S. forces engage in a limited military mission that involves limited exposure for U.S. troops and limited risk of serious escalation and employs limited military means, we are not in hostilities of the kind envisioned by the War Powers resolution.
What do you make of that?
exactly what it is. It's called extraction. It's a military term for a, hit 'em and go.
So you think it wasn't? You think Harold Koh was wrong that this is not an authorized strike?
Jim Santel, a U.S. district attorney, who said, and I quote...
No. I want you to respond. I want you to respond specifically to what Harold Koh just said.
Okay. If there's a limited strike, as he just said, we're out by Friday.
Okay.
We're out by Friday.
What happens? What happens though? We took out the leader of a sovereign nation. I mean, clearly, Harold Koh is probably wrong about that, right?
No, Obama and Biden knew why not to do this.
Really?
Unfortunately, the guy who destroyed...
So wait, hold on. Obama, you're saying Obama would have never done something like this?
Absolutely not.
Okay, because I've actually got news for you, Bill. I mean, people might have thought it's mean when I talked about a 40-point IQ gap. This is what I'm talking about. Harold Koh was actually a Defense Department legal counsel under Barack Obama. This soundbite was from 2011 when he was justifying the strike that took out Muammar Gaddafi. In fact, in 2011, the Obama administration launched a concerted campaign to oust Gaddafi. And even though there was no widespread concern about war powers resolution or the Constitution, everybody just sort of went along with it. So how do you reconcile that, Bill? How do you reconcile the fact that you were totally fine with 15 years ago, the exact same thing happening when you thought it was actually Trump? You were opposed to it. How about this? Also 2011, then House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi asked, hey, is there a constitutional, requirement that Congress intervene here?
My heartfelt condolences.
That would be Melania Trump. Here's actually Nancy Pelosi right over here.
Madam Leader, you're saying that the president did not need authorization initially and still does not need any authorization from Congress on Libya?
Yes. Thank you all very much.
Wow. That is actually kind of amazing. You don't need congressional authorization when you're a Democrat? We'll get back to that when we come back here on the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Benjamin Yout, guaranteed human.
This is the text I got from my oldest son, who's somewhere in an undisclosed location. I'm alive. I've been bombed about a dozen times by ballistic missiles, but I'm all good. F you, Iran.
The Benjamin Yout Show, guaranteed real. Weekdays 6 to 9 on News Talk 1130 WISN.
I'm Ryan Harrison, owner of Orion Waterproofing. If it seems rain hangs around your home coming down as insidiously delicate droplets, or in buckets, and if neither, rain tends to lurk suspiciously in the atmosphere around your house, you probably have a wet, mildewy, leaky basement with cracked walls. No basement wall or foundation repair is too big or small for Orion Waterproofing. We won't be the most expensive. The larger the job, the more you'll save with Ryan. We've eliminated bowed walls, cracks, spalling, seepage, and flooding in Coast Guard stations, museums, and countless Wisconsin homes. Ryan's waterproofing experts show up on time and do exactly what we say we're going to do, eliminating your water problems, restoring your home, even ending your negative obsession with rain. Imagine looking out the window for rainbows rather than obsessing about your basement walls and floors next time, every time it rains. Free estimates, affordable financing. 'Cause praying for drought is overrated. Ryan Waterproofing, call Ryan.com. That's call RION.com.
Ever wonder what it takes to feel truly wealthy and financially comfortable? Schwab asked Americans that question, and most said at least $2 million. But here's the thing, your number might be different. And that makes sense because your dreams, travel, retirement, and the legacy you want to leave are unique to you. That's why you need advice that's just as personal. The team at Annex Wealth Management is ready to listen and help you build a plan that fits your life. Click click the Get Started button at annexwealth.com.
I'm Warshawski Law's nationally certified legal investigator, John Schatzman. If you or someone you love is horribly injured, Sign and Settle Lawyers should scare you more than blocking Clay Matthews on a Klingon battle cruiser. Insurance companies value your claim based on the quality of your law firm. Settlement Mills investigating your injuries is a lawyer who never tried a case looking at police reports. With Warshawski in your corner, our own investigator will be on the way to record the scene of your injury, interview witnesses, usually within minutes of your call. It's not uncommon for me to document and preserve evidence police officers did not see as significant. Meticulous examination of physical evidence, all documentation, and every medical record makes certain nothing is missed. Warshawski will show how your losses could have been prevented and exactly why they were not. Insurance companies are risk adverse. Warshawski's unique skills make record cash settlements possible. And when settlement is not forthcoming, your best outcome at trial. Injured, it is about the money. Warshawski.com.
When homeowners realize how much they can save, everything changes. Hi, this is Chris Leby with Lake Country Flat Fee. For more than 24 years, we've helped sellers keep more of their equity by offering full-service real estate without paying a 6% commission or inflated costs. Just experienced agents, proven results, and real savings. If you're thinking about selling, now is the time to explore your options. Our sellers save about 50% versus a traditional 6% broker. To learn more or to schedule a free market analysis, visit our website at lakecountryflatfee.com.
It pretty much hurt doing anything. I couldn't ride a bicycle. You don't have your life because you don't have your mobility.
So when Patrick heard about QC Kinetics and their non-invasive regenerative treatments for pain, no waiting, he called them immediately.
There's no downtime. There's no rehab. That was the tipping point for me. I didn't have to take any drugs. I didn't have to rehab.
Before considering surgery, check out QC Kinetics all-natural treatment options that restore and repair damaged joint tissue in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back.
If you have knee replacement surgery, and then the knee is not yours, and there's no guarantee that that's going to be successful.
QC Kinetics. Patients around the country are raving about the results. They're getting back their mobility, taking back their lives with no downtime, no drugs, and no surgery. Don't wait. Call QC Kinetics today for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-888-4387. That's 414-888-4387. 414-888-4387.
For superior carpet cleaning, hire a company with over 75 years of experience that will get the job done right the first time. Always clean, always on time. Edelman.
Edelman Carpet Furniture and Drapery Cleaning.
It's Edelman again.
I'm attorney Tom Grieve, here to tell you about Grieve Civil Law. Life is unpredictable, but you can help your loved ones navigate dark days by preparing for the future now. Powers of attorney, wills, and trusts are all components to a robust estate plan that ensures your wishes are fulfilled. Do you think your estate is simple or should be executed using common sense? In many cases, the law cannot take into account how complicated families are. If you or your heirs are divorced, or if your heirs get divorced in the future, your assets may not go where you intend. Many people say that they will get a will, but they never get around to it. Their loved ones often pay for their lack of planning in the time and stress of probate, not to mention court fees. On top of their grief, they'll wrestle with red tape and resentment. Don't gamble your life's work. Don't gamble with your family's future. Protect your loved ones from legal battles. It's more than just a document, it's peace of mind. Contact Grieve Civil Law today, because tomorrow isn't guaranteed. GrieveCivilLaw.com.
Hey, it's Dan for CertaPro Painters, who you can trust to get the job done right because they take pride in what they do. The process is worry-free, starting with a free estimate. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated right here in our community. Schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, pro.com. And ask about their spring sales event for 10% off qualifying projects through May 15th. You know, all weekend long, I got liberals up and down comment sections on X, on Instagram, on Facebook. Just, it's remarkable how they are experts on the War Powers Resolution, on the president's inherent commander-in-chief authority. But then when I call them out and say, hey, you should call in, they all end up sounding like Bill from Oconomowoc. half of me felt bad. Should I have felt bad walking him into that trap, knowing full well that he had no idea who Harold Koh was, that the Obama administration was making the exact same argument for regime change in Libya, where there clearly was no imminent threat? I mean, by 2011, Muammar Gaddafi had unilaterally disarmed. And in the wake of 9/11, actually in the wake of the second Iraq war in 2003, he saw the light and realized that his decades of being a pain in Americans' you-know-what was eventually going to come back and bite him. And he basically acceded to pretty much every single American demand under the Bush administration. Well, Obama got it in his head during the Arab Spring movement that Gaddafi had to go. So there were airstrikes against Gaddafi, and there was military action aimed at supplanting him, aimed at removing him from power. Wouldn't you know it? The Obama administration was making the argument that he didn't need to go to Congress, that somehow the War Powers Resolution of 1973 applied. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi agreed, and every single peacenik liberal just sort of went along with it. Would you believe that President Obama in 1 year dropped 21,000 bombs on 8 different sovereign nations without a single declaration of war for any of them? Senator Tom Cotton, very, very well spoken on issues of war, very knowledgeable on Fox News today.
President Trump has the inherent power under our Constitution and as commander-in-chief to use military force to keep our nation safe. In this case, from the vast missile arsenal that Iran has and was expanding, much bigger than our missile defenses. And we've had presidents conduct this kind of operations going back to the beginning of our republic. For that matter, conduct them in the Middle East. Thomas Jefferson struck the Barbary pirates just off the coast of Libya more than 200 years ago without a vote in Congress. And speaking of Libya, Barack Obama toppled Muammar Gaddafi in Libya 15 years ago without a vote of Congress, even though he was a de facto American ally by that point. The difference is that President Trump is attacking a 47-year implacable enemy.
Not only that, John Fetterman, who is clearly not an ally of the Trump administration on all things, as he is a Democrat senator from Pennsylvania, but is very strong on national defense, also said today that there is no need for a congressional declaration of war, just as there hasn't been a single declaration. Would you believe Congress did not declare war on Operation Desert Storm in 1991? Was there a single Democrat outside of the radical far left, which was thankfully underground back then, that opposed that war? How about the war on terror? That was just sort of unilaterally declared. The last formal declaration of war was the day after the Pearl Harbor attack. I don't know. I don't even know what to say at this point. Even Fetterman gets it.
Look up and read the War Powers Resolution from 1973 and what that requires. What that requires is that provide 48 hours of notification, and President Trump had done that. And then that means after 60 days, then they have to withdraw those soldiers, or perhaps even for an extra 30-day extension. Neither of those things have been broken.
Let's go to Jay in Mequon up next on the phones. Welcome to the Dan O'Donnell Show, Jay.
Oh, thank you, Dan. First-time listener, actually. Yeah, just a couple of comments. You know, as far as what Trump does and his critics, please don't confuse them with facts, because it's just there's nothing you should do. It's too much for them. Anyways, and also I'll quote John Lennon. Let me say, let's just give peace a chance, Dan. Okay. But aside from that, I want to bring up a very nuanced argument, if you'll give me just a second here.
Sure.
So
you're already setting this up to be a spectacular call, Jay. I'm just going to let you go, possibly till the end of the top of the hour, sir.
I got a lot to live up to. So let me ask you a few questions here. So who is the greatest threat to the United States?
Oh boy, that is actually that's a multifaceted question. The single greatest threat to the United States on a global scale, I mean, most likely an ascendant China, if I had to guess.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You are correct, sir. So my second point is, as far as Tucker Carlson's camp is concerned, everybody's saying, "Oh, we are just a lackey of Netanyahu, and we're just doing the bidding of the Zionists, et cetera, et cetera." But what they don't realize is that countries act for their own benefit.
Yes.
And our president is, thank God. Here's my other question for you then: who gives China the most oil?
That would be Iran. Well, technically, it's Iran and Russia. I know they faced significant secondary sanctions on that. So, yes, it was Iran. For a long time, I believe it was Russia. But, yes, I think recently it's been Iran.
That is very correct. So if you all of a sudden – oh, by the way, and who was the second large source of oil to Iran? Happened to be Venezuela, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so, they were all that was actually, I'm sorry to interrupt real quick. That was actually a major, and all of this is seen as a deterrent towards China. That this is to stop what we believe to be potentially going on next year, which would be a full-scale military takeover of Taiwan, which China has wanted forever. And I think a lot of this is aimed at economically weakening it in the ongoing trade war, but also such a massive, overwhelming show of force that the Chinese wouldn't dare to act out under Trump's watch. Otherwise, you'll get Xi Jinping driving around coked out of his gourd like Henry Hill, driving around watching for helicopters at the end of Goodfellas. Keep going, though, Jay. Keep going, though, Jay.
Great. Such a great movie. And a good metaphor, by the way.
Thank you.
But what I'm saying, okay, so excellent point. So what do we have now? We have a situation where oil is now, the oil that flows to China, our greatest enemy, is now seemingly, after regime change in Iran, which is inevitable, obviously, we are going to see the flow of oil being controlled by whom? The United States to China. And I'm just trying, let's pull it all together.
Yeah.
What asset runs war? But more than anything, it's oil. You cannot run an aggression on any country without energy.
Okay,
so therefore, if we are able, so right now, so my point to you is, we are not only are we making the world safe from Iran, but on top of that, and Tucker Carlson needs to know this, and I'm sure he does. But
of course
we are lauding power and control over Red China for decades to come as far as oil is concerned.
Okay, I gotta just cut you off real quick. You said you were a first-time listener of the Dan O'Donnell Show. Jay, is that because you were spending all your time advising the State Department? Because that was about the best just way to put it all together so succinctly. I'm actually scared, Jay, that the next time you're on the Dan O'Donnell Show, they're going to call it the Jay and Mequon Show, and I'm going to be calling you, brother. That was fantastic and absolutely correct. Thank you so much for the call. This does not exist in a vacuum. It is not an actually. You want to use another mob movie metaphor? How about President Trump in 2026, like Michael Corleone, right before he takes out all of the other mafia bosses? He says, "Today I settle all family business." Well, in 2026, President Trump is settling all family business. The number one bad actor in the world is China. And China, believe it or not, despite all the propaganda coming from the American left and its mouthpieces in traditional media, is remarkably weak right now. They are facing a debt bubble that is about to collapse, and even more significantly, they are facing an aging population bubble thanks to their decades-long one-child policy that has just decimated their ability to grow. It sounds bizarre that a nation with 1 billion people, and by the way, there are those who are convinced that China has been lying about its population for decades, that it really has far less than 1 billion people, that it's just dramatically overcounting the number of people in the far-off provinces, the rural areas where it's just impossible to verify counts. Sort of like how the 2020 census was run here in the United States. It was just kind of a fraud designed to give more political power to leftists. That, by the way, is a discussion for a different... I was actually prepping that for... I spent much of Friday evening while I was getting ready to coach a couple of soccer games, going to talk about the 2020 census and how it was essentially rigged by a new formula that was designed, in fact, to take political power away from the southern, more conservative states and give it to northern states. And then, of course, I woke up in the middle of the night on Saturday night to about 15 different notifications on my phone that we were apparently at war with Iran. That was an absolutely fantastic phone call, Jay. We will take more of your calls throughout the show here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. 414-799-1130 and 1-800-838-9476. More calls, more fun, and the Unhinged Liberal of the Day coming up next.
Now, here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
43 southbound, slow in between Keefe and the Marquette interchange. You got a northbound delay now building from North Ave on up to Center. Westbound on 94, heavy from 27 to Hawley. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Staples. Want a great way to boost your brand? Custom labels at Staples will help packages pop, shipments stand out, and takeout boxes really take off. Shop now through April 18th and save 30% on all custom labels. Staples, that was easy.
I'm attorney Tom Grieve with Divergent Family Law, here to talk about facts and myths about divorce. Do you think as long as you play nice, so will your spouse? That's a myth. Many divorces start that way, but before you know it, one disagreement unravels everything you previously thought was settled. Have you heard it's cheaper to get divorced without an attorney? That's a myth. It's not. The assets lost by not knowing what you are legally entitled to are much more costly than an attorney. Have you heard attorneys bill by the minute and will waste time so that they can charge you more? At Divergent Family Law, that's a myth. We offer free consultations for divorce and provide you with a flat quote for representation. You won't have to wonder what you'll get charged. The facts are you'll get your best possible outcome when you have an experienced attorney at your side. Our attorneys have seen it all. They know the laws and they know the judges. They'll make sure that you get your fair share or better. Contact us today at divergentfamilylaw.com.
Hey, it's Dan O'Donnell, and you got to get to Built Right today. Built Right's Friends and Family Sale is on now. It's Built Right's biggest sale of the year and the best time to buy locally and love your sleep. Built Right's one location saves you time and money. They have the best selection of flippable mattresses in Wisconsin. Two sides are better than one with a flippable mattress from Built Right. 2 times the materials, 2 times the comfort and durability in stock and on sale. Built Right has 36 flippable mattress models from 5 brands made in the USA. Therapeutic, Restonic, Shiftman, Comfort Sleep, Gold Bond, and luxury one-sided brand Heirloom. Built Right has 2-sided models that are very affordable to the most luxurious, handmade with natural materials, plush, firm pillow top, and heavy-duty models that have up to a 20-year warranty. Voted best place to shop, now open 5 days to shop, Tuesday through Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Built Right is closed to be with family and friends. Tell them Dan sent you to Built Right, 54th and Layton in Greenfield.
I'm Total Health's Jay Johnson, the Falls and New Berlin. Feel like you can't lose the weight, making you feel lethargic, slow, tired, and old? Hospitalized Medicine's motivated by profit solution is drugs. Everyone, including prescribers, know have very dangerous, life-altering side effects. After 34 years practicing natural medicine, Total Health can tell you it isn't your willpower. It's fat loss resistance, often slowly built up over decades, and you can overcome it naturally. Total Health's Rapid Reset will reset your body's access to fat. Years of stress, yo-yo dieting, surgery, even menopause inflame the hypothalamus and pituitary, your body's master hormone regulators. Rather than burning stored fat, your body utilizes essential reserves. Total Health's Rapid Reset, a science-based protocol, reduces hypothalamic inflammation, rebalances insulin and leptin, restoring your body's natural system of storing energy for future use, then actually burning fat for energy. A 20-pound reduction in trapped fat in the first month is a common result. It's not theory. Relativity equals expertise plus execution. TotalHealthInc.com.
Your clear choice for more. Lisbon Store, screen and door.
If you have a smart speaker, listening to WISN has never been easier. Just tell Alexa, Google Home, or Siri on HomePod to play 1130 WISN on iHeartRadio. Then sit back and enjoy the excellence.
The talk shows on WISN Radio. Not for the faint of heart and not for the feeble of mind. News Talk 1130 WISN. Fact is, until you've heard us, you haven't heard the whole story.
It's Fox Wheels.
Production of the Tesla Model S and Model X premium sedans and SUVs will likely stop by the end of this year, marking an end of an era for the long-running Tesla models. The move as the company pivots toward autonomous technology and robotics. Tesla CEO Elon Musk saying production of the Model S and Model X is expected to wind down in next quarter. Tesla had also slashed prices on both models amid global competition in the sector, as the company's more affordable, higher volume vehicle, the Model 3 and the Model Y, now dominate Tesla's lineup, accounting for a majority of Tesla's vehicle deliveries last year. Musk says the Model S and Model X production line in Fremont, California will be replaced with new initiatives, including production of the company's Optimus humanoid robots, that the plant will be capable of producing up to 1 million Optimus units per year. That's Fox Wheels. I'm Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Sorry to make you wait a little bit there, folks. I was just kind of vibing to the bumper music here. By the way, if you like the bumper music you hear on the Dan O'Donnell Show, we know it's unique. It's designed to be. Check out the Dan O'Donnell Show bumper music playlist on your Spotify app. I'd love to put it on my iHeartRadio app, but, well, long story. iHeartRadio easily, and I am telling you, the best podcast app, the best app for news. I was actually, while I was watching, I had Fox News on one television. I had CNN on another, just to kind of get, well, you know, you got to get you got to monitor what it is the enemy is saying. So I'm getting, you know, the story from Fox News. Then I'm getting the Iranian propaganda from, you know, Mahmoud al-Tapper. Just providing all of the left. Look, don't believe, folks, if you do not believe that left-wingers will side with any American enemy, look no further than this weekend. Time now for the Unhinged Liberal of the Day.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany.
All white people are racist.
Trump is dangerous because he's evil. America is over.
Today's Unhinged Liberal of the Day is someone named Zach Jacobson, who writes about the Green Bay Packers for something called 24/7 Sports. I'm told it is a big deal, and I'm told he is apparently a writer there. Here's what he posted 12:32 p.m. on Saturday. That fat draft-dodging slab of dog bleep is dragging us into war and sacrificing the lives of Americans and innocent civilians on the ground to distract from the fact that he bleeped kids, by the way. I'd say stick to sports, but someone that truly vile and mentally ill probably is saying that same sort of crazy stuff about Jordan Love whenever he throws an interception. Not even close. In a weekend of truly deranged, awful left-wing takes, Zach Jacobson is your Unhinged Liberal of the Day. Stay tuned. Daily Trump Date next here on the Dan O'Donnell Show.
All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the NX Wealth Management Studios. NX Wealth Management. Know the difference. Stay informed all day, every day on News Talk 1130 WISN. Milwaukee, an iHeart radio station. Guaranteed human.
Good afternoon. I'm Dave Michaels. Iran continues to launch retaliatory strikes across the Middle East after a joint U.S.-Israeli offensive eliminated Iran's supreme leader, as well as several dozen of Iran's top military personnel. Fox's Trey Yingst is in Israel.
We've learned from Qatar's defense ministry the country shot down 2 Iranian jets that entered their airspace. We know that they've been receiving attacks from the Iranians, and they have been taking action not only now to shoot down jets, but also incoming ballistic missiles. This comes as the war is expanding overnight. The Iran-backed Lebanese militant group Hezbollah launching rockets into northern Israel. The Israelis responded with airstrikes against Beirut.
We're learning more about a fatal weekend house fire that killed a father and son in Brookfield.
Family members identify them as 66-year-old Thomas Wall, 26-year-old Dylan Wall, and Dylan's dog Shango. Firefighters arrived Saturday morning to find the home in Brookfield burning heavily. They learned people were inside, and a search after the fire was put out found one victim who was taken to a hospital where they later died. The second person and the dog died at the scene. 3 police officers were injured and taken to the hospital. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Ted Allen, Wisconsin Radio Network.
And 2 more big construction projects started in the area today.
First, in Milwaukee, crews will be resurfacing 76th Street on the city's north side from Florist all the way up to County Line Road. It's a 4.5-mile stretch, so expect lane closures. Work expected to be done by late fall. In Sheboygan County, another resurfacing project on I-43 is over 10 miles of the freeway, stretching from Oostburg all the way up to Sheboygan and Highway 42. Construction will be done around November for that project, and until then, expect lane closures and possible ramp closures as well.
Checking the holiday automotive of Fond du Lac Sports Scoreboard, it's the Bucks in Boston tonight. Tip time 6:30 at Fiserv. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Dave Michaels. On Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
Here's the latest forecast, powered by ReamerRomano.com from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Sunny and breezy today, with temperatures ranging from upper 30s lakeside to low 40s inland. Clouds return tonight, then a chance for morning light rain and wintry mix. Temperatures Tuesday will be similar in the 30s and 40s. I'm Fox 6 meteorologist Stephanie Barrichello.
This report is sponsored by Habish, and Rotier.
There's a problem if your lawyer is famous for one phone call and a quick settlement. In fact, one call and a quick settlement is exactly what the other side wants. Instead, call Habish, and Rotier. National reputation, hometown service. Visit Habish.com to find out more.
A Giannis rookie card sold for $1.8 million at auction. Redefine Realty's winning real estate revolutionizing combo of MLS plus auction will achieve the highest sales price possible selling your home. Let yourself win. Real estate for winners. RedefineRealty.com.
I'm Dave Brownsdorf, president of Flawless Flooring. It's true, there's nothing quite like the scent of freshly steam-cleaned, worn carpet other than a wet dog or cat's litter box. However, Flawless's customer satisfaction-driven, unprecedented growth pinched the Milwaukee metro flooring industry to the point major carpet companies are no more. We've added quality carpeting lines, becoming your true one-stop flooring shop. Flawless Flooring's New Berlin and Delafield showrooms feature virtually unheard of in the flooring industry, upfront accurate pricing, including installation on every display. Know how much carpet, LVP, or modern laminate flooring you need? You can calculate exact pricing as you shop. Want to expand your existing hardwood flooring? Flawless's employee-only craftsmen strip existing flooring, install new hardwood, then finish old and new together for a perfect, looks all original floor. Lock in purchasing power of today's dollars for money you'll earn up to 21 months from now with Flawless's no money down, zero interest financing. Sensory underload, Flawless Flooring. FlawlessFlooringLLC.com. That's FlawlessFlooringLLC.com.
A small business affirmation from Progressive. Bakery owners, you will be loved today. Every pastry will be flaky. Your cake will make a child's day. Your delivery van won't get sideswiped by a distracted garbage truck driver. But if so, breathe easy, knowing you'll get back to business quickly with Progressive protecting your commercial auto. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation honors America's heroes and their families, heroes like Scott Abrams. Now, for more than 3 decades, Scott served his community and country while he was on his NYPD motorcycle escorting a funeral procession. Scott was hit by a bus, leaving him partially paralyzed. Tunnel to Towers was able to honor Scott with a mortgage-free smart home. Please join us supporting the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. If you can donate $11 a month, go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Home cleaning friend, it's Edelman again. Edelman.
Marketing a modern business means finding and serving your customers 24/7 wherever they are. WISN broadcasts are a powerful platform, but there's so much more. WISN's online digital tools are completely customizable, so you can reach your ideal customer through the iHeart app or by using software that actually finds your customers at a specific location or event. These tools are precise, efficient, measurable marketing weapons that you need to use. Combine the power and cloud of WISN's broadcast and digital platforms right now. Go to newstalk1130.com, keyword digital.
The United States launching what the president is calling major combat operations.
Iran's formerly supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead.
Sources say when intelligence officials learned the supreme leader was above ground in his office and meeting with Iran's top leaders, they struck.
God bless you to our incredible warriors, and God bless the United States of America.
And my deepest condolences to liberals across the United States of America on the death of the Ayatollah Khamenei. I know that while you didn't necessarily support everything he did, you were deeply allied with him because he was an enemy of the United States of America. And of course, ultimately, that is what matters. Truly. Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show. I don't think I have seen a more revealing weekend out of the online left than the one that I saw this past weekend. Have you? Honest to goodness, if you spent any time online, anytime, you would have heard and seen. Honestly, I have to go back to, the last time a prominent conservative died and was actually gunned down in cold blood. It's shocking. Now, folks, I was 9 years old when the Gulf War broke out. I came of age politically during 9/11. I was 20 years old when 9/11 happened. It changed the trajectory of my life. I didn't really know. I knew I wanted to do something in broadcasting, but I didn't totally know what I wanted, to focus on. Well, that changed it. And ultimately what did was, so when 9/11 happened, I went into my room, right? I went home. I'll never forget this. I actually walked out of Paul Joseph's meteorology class at Marquette University because he was just going to go on with class as normal. I didn't. Every other class I had that day on 9/11 was canceled. Paul Joseph, God bless him, that man loved meteorology so much, he was going to keep going with the meteorology lesson. I said, you know what, I can't today. I never skipped. I got to go back. And all I did in my free time for weeks and weeks and weeks was just follow what was going on. And it built sort of this lifelong obsession with learning more about the world around me. And one thing I noticed very, very quickly, this is before I started listening to Rush Limbaugh and Mark Belling. I was sort of generally politically a conservative. I voted for George W. Bush. I just sort of had conservative principles. My family, very conservative. Yes, I know my great uncle was a Democrat. He was the county executive of Milwaukee County, but my God, he'd be a conservative Republican. And all those old Irish Democrats back in the day would be Republicans today, too. This is sort of in hyper speed what I noticed back 25 years ago. My goodness, almost 25 years ago now. What I saw very slowly was Democrats unable. You remember when everybody came together and, the candlelight vigils and singing God Bless America on the set, every member of Congress singing God Bless America. And, we were all behind the military. It gradually, as we got closer to the 2002 midterms, they couldn't keep up the facade. Democrats just could not keep up the patriotism, the support for the president of the United States, and it just steadily waned. And I was seeing this in real time and saying, hey, wait a second. To the point where one of the first ideas I ever had for a recurring bit when I decided, someday I really want to do conservative analysis. I really want to do this on the radio. I think that this is just the purest form of broadcasting of education and entertainment. I said one of the first bits I ever came, I think the first bit was called Democrat or Terrorist. And I was just going to read a quote with no context, and you had to decide whether it came from a Democrat or a terrorist talking about the United States. It was 25 years ago. And it took months and months and months for them to get to that point where they were literally spewing the exact same propaganda that remember when Osama bin Laden would put out a new video every couple of months? It was like MTV would debut the new bin Laden track. He was in a cave somewhere, and he would say it was shocking to me. He was it was almost like he was reading the New York Times editorial page and just kind of going from that as to what he was going to talk about to denigrate the United States of America. We went from zero to echoing bin Laden in about 3.5 hours. On social media. And look, folks, the reality is that the radical socialist, frankly, communist-leaning left was always out there. It was always out there. Now it's just mainstream. We had a caller in the last hour referencing Tucker Carlson, who he's now on the alt-right. It is this... I think, who is it that calls him the horseshoe right? I think that's Michael Knowles or somebody. And I always talk about how politics at its extremes, it is not a straight line, it's a circle. The far left and the far right, like the alt-right, are shockingly close in their political ideology. And they are both upset because we're supposedly doing the bidding of Israel. This is going back to 1,000-year-old tropes about Jews controlling entire kingdoms with their shekels. And neither extreme really has a problem with sharing that same It never dawned on these morons who say, well, we're just doing Israel's. It never dawned on you idiots that maybe Israel is doing the bidding of the vastly richer, vastly technologically and militarily superior country, and that Israel essentially exists because of the protection of the United States of America, and that Israel, which has about the most incredible human intelligence operation I've ever seen, the Mossad knew exactly where the Ayatollah was going to be, and one of the reasons that he was in the same room, it seems pretty stupid, with not one but two American aircraft carriers right there at your doorstep, two carrier groups, and pretty much the entire air force of the United States to get in a room with your top commanders. They're terrified of carrying around cell phones or pagers because of what happened to Hamas a couple of years ago, where they got pagers to try to coordinate their terror attacks. And turns out the pagers were bought by a company that was just a front for the Mossad, and they all simultaneously exploded, killing a whole bunch of terrorists and, shall we say, making the rest of them sing soprano for the rest of their days. All right. But my point is that you have people who fundamentally hate this country, and they're not the Iranians. We had Bill, the token liberal. I'll give him credit. For what he lacks in brain cells, he actually lacks he makes up for in cojones. Because he's the only one who actually is man enough to call and try to debate me. He actually, would you believe he said, what are we going to do when all the Iranians here start blowing things up? A, that's super Islamophobic. B, it sort of makes the point that conservatives have been making for, I don't know, several decades, that the borders need to be closed because we have no idea who's coming into this country. But it also denies the reality that the actual Iranians in this country have all been celebrating. This is a brutally repressive regime. The Ayatollahs, the mullahs, the despotic leadership that they have been subjected to has been a living nightmare for nearly 50 years. And we're going to get into, later this hour, we are going to get into that long, disturbing history of just how terrible these people have been. I'll tell you what, we got to go very, very quickly here with the Daily Trump Tape, because we're going to get the impact on markets, the impact on finances with Dave Spano, the CEO of Annex Wealth Management, in just a second. First, though, it is the Daily Trump Tape.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
Trump just keeps winning.
It is a win for the administration.
It's also a big win for the United States.
We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
President Trump addressing the weekend strikes on Iran at a ceremony today, giving the Medal of Honor to 3 soldiers, one from World War II. And President Trump said that he mourns the 4 Americans who gave their lives in the Operation Epic Fury this weekend.
Today we grieve for the 4 heroic American service members who have been killed in action, and send our love and support to their families. In their memory, we continue this mission with ferocious, unyielding resolve to crush the threat this terrorist regime poses to the American people, and a threat indeed it is.
First Lady Melania Trump is echoing those condolences.
My heartfelt condolences to the families who have lost their heroes, who sacrificed their lives for freedom. Their bravery and dedication will always be remembered. I extend my earnest wishes for a swift and smooth recovery to all those who have been injured. You are in my thoughts and prayers during these challenging times.
The First Lady in New York today to chair the meeting of the UN Security Council. It was previously scheduled. She was going to talk about education being the bridge to peace. Obviously, that changed a little bit. ABC News, meanwhile, is now reporting that the American death toll has now increased to 6. And we here in the News Talk 1130 WISN family urge all of you to pray for our brave men and women who are serving in harm's way, especially the son of our morning show host and my dear friend Ben Yount, who was subject to an Iranian bombing. I did not want to say anything about that, ladies and gentlemen. I guess they turned it into a promo today. I was not listening to Ben's show. I actually, unfortunately, had a little bit of a health issue this morning that I'm fine. A little battered, but unbroken. I may elaborate on that a little bit longer. President Trump, so I didn't get a chance to listen. I listened very briefly to Jason Gotch, but I had known that Ben's son was in harm's way, and just say a little prayer for him, because, for those of us calling, talk show hosts chicken hawks and whatever, age-old insult that they've got left over from the Bush administration, we've got skin in this game as well. And President Trump today at that Medal of Honor ceremony saying it's going to take as long as it takes to rid the world of this evil Iranian regime.
Substantially ahead of our time projections, but whatever the time is, it's okay. Whatever it takes, we will always, and we have right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks, but we have capability to go far longer than that. We'll do it. Whatever somebody said today, they said, oh, well, if the president wants to do it really quickly, after that, he'll get bored. I don't get bored. There's nothing boring about this. Do you agree with that, Pete? I don't think there's anything, Mr. General. I think there's nothing boring about it.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is your daily Trump date. Remember, coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, we are going to debunk pretty much every bit of misinformation that you have undoubtedly heard about Operation Epic Fury over the weekend, coming from people on the left and the media mouthpieces that amplify their bile, including that this is somehow going to be a forever war. We don't fight forever wars anymore. Our forever war in Venezuela, you remember that? This was going to be a quagmire, that we were going to be stuck in Venezuela. How dare we kidnap a sovereign leader of a sovereign nation? That lasted all of 30 minutes, 35, maybe. Joining us now to make sense of the economic impact that this is already having, Dave Spano, the CEO of Annex Wealth Management, helping us know the difference. Dave, welcome back, sir. What did we see on the markets today? Because it looked mixed. I don't know. There was no big dip. There was no big spike. So what is it? Is there no more war profiteering? Is Trump no longer going to destroy the economy with his endless wars? What's going on here?
Yeah, for sure. So you looked at it, and the S&P 500 did finish in the green today. And Dan, we went back and we checked S&P performance with some major historical events over the last, say, 40 years. And, Gulf War I in 1991, if you look 3 months after that, the markets were up 22%. Gulf War II, 3 months afterwards, the S&P was up 12%. When it was down were for financial major events, things like the dot-com, the Bear Stearns, the Lehman, those issues. So the markets are more concerned about financial crises than they are military crises. And so that is the reason why we looked at it. We're not surprised what happened today. We saw oil up 6%. As it could be expected, because all of that oil that goes through the Straits of Hormuz is a significant amount. And by the way, about 40% of that oil goes to China. So they're watching this very closely. But what a week of news! We started obviously with the Supreme Court last week, the IEPA. We all became experts in sections, of the code that we haven't heard before. Then we went through, of course, a 2-hour State of the Union. We saw NVIDIA, and then, of course, we ended on Friday. And the market, with all of that crazy news, seems to be shrugging it off.
That is actually fascinating when you give the history of how markets are just sort of able to, okay, I guess there's no more Ayatollah. Oh, well, it's like, exactly. All right. Well, and this is sort of the point I'm going to kind of get to in the 5 o'clock hour, that wars are no longer, technology has advanced so quickly, Dave, just in the last decade. Wars are no longer fought, even like they were when the United States invaded Iraq. Even like the hunt for bin Laden in Afghanistan. I am firmly convinced that if 9/11 were to happen, like let's say 9/11 happened on September 11th, 2025, and not September 11th, 2001, I'm 100% convinced Osama bin Laden would have already been found and killed. There's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind that the invasion of Iraq, first of all, and what does this say about, just to be clear, this is not Dave Spano talking, but Dan O'Donnell. What does it say? I was talking about what kind of shaped my politics. It was a situation very similar to this, where we were told in the run-up to the Iraq war invasion that, oh my gosh, Saddam's troops, these are the greatest, best trained forces in the world, and our boys are they all laid down their arms because they were terrified of American Marines and Army Rangers, and they should be, okay? But it is my very strong conviction that the Iraq war would have gone very differently, because we have advanced as a nation technologically so far beyond every other that we can just rain death from above with pinpoint accuracy pretty much anywhere we want. And I think the Venezuela situation taught us that by the way, I don't know, did we lose Dave?
No, I'm here.
Oh, you're still there.
Listening.
Okay, I'm fascinated. There was
fascinated as your historical.
Okay, there's this, because I'm hearing like a little whoop. I'm like, oh boy, is that his two-way dying on me? I'm gonna like throw it to Dave, and he's not gonna be there. Okay, no. What Venezuela taught us is. First of all, did you have any idea the United States has a weapon called the discombobulator, which basically it basically destroys your inner ear sense of balance and everything, and it just floors anybody. It's a sonic weapon.
What was the cartoon character who had that little gun? Right? Remember that?
Yes.
That was a
Yeah.
discombobulator.
Okay, so that exists. Would you believe that the reason the United States faced no missile defense is that we just turned off their missile defense system before we went in? Yeah. Same thing happened with Iran. It just the Israelis just kind of turned off their missile defense system. That's so beyond the power of any other nation to do that it's almost terrifying. And war just is not fought in the same way. And I think what this is showing.
It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to have the Mossad, giving us a little intel.
The Mossad,
it's just spectacular.
I heard a story over the weekend, and I'm still not sure if it's entirely verified. One of the ways that they were tracking senior leadership of Iran, because they don't use technology. They're terrified of using technology because it can be tracked. That Mossad infiltrated dentist's office in Iran, and they were implanting tracking devices in fillers that they were putting in cavities.
I love that.
I mean,
there you go.
I can't even the technological superiority.
I have no idea what that beeping is, just so you know. So.
Okay, all right. Oh no! Oh God, it's the Mossad. The Mossad.
It's the Mossad. Following DOD on the way home.
Yeah.
Be careful with your injury. What they're going to implant inside.
I know. I suppose I should. I kind of alluded to it. By the way, head to annexwealth.com for no other reason.
We have so much to talk about.
We do. I could just talk. I could talk to you for the rest of the hour, but I got to get this history of Iranian terrorism. Cool. We got some other stuff. Go to Annex Wealth. Giannis is coming back. My goodness, it's what a newsy day. All right, get the hell out of here, Dave Spano. AnnexWealth.com. Go to them simply because Dave and his team, they're just good people. They share our values, and you hear Dave every week. He's a very dear friend, and unfortunately, he outed I think he's violating my HIPAA. I think that, you know what it was? That beeping was, don't violate Dan O'Donnell's HIPAA rights. No, I tore my ACL playing basketball with my son on Saturday. It's going to be confirmed in an MRI next Saturday. Boy, by the way, I'm telling you people I'm having an MRI on Saturday before I think even my wife knows about that one. And yeah, Mom and Dad, if you're listening, don't be worried. I'm fine. Producer Doug, was I not hobbling around just fine today? They gave me crutches. I'm not using them. But yeah, I've had a bad knee for years. And finally, it just gave out. My son, Chris, flagrantly fouled me. It was no. I went up for a jump shot. We were just playing. We were playing one-on-one, having a great time. And I landed, and it was like I didn't even have a left leg. That's the only way I can describe it. It's like I landed, and it was like I was so off balance because I was only really landing on my right leg. My knee just completely collapsed. It basically pulled. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a tear in the back of my leg because of how it just was sort of flopping around. And yeah, I was kind of laying there on the court for a while. You know what my son said? In what very likely could be the last shot I ever take on a basketball court, he goes to me. He's like, well, Dad, at least you made the shot. I'm like, thanks, Chris. I'm like, that's not helping a lot, buddy. But yeah, so I went to the doctor. I spent all morning in the doctor's office and confirmed torn ACL. MRI will formally confirm it, but so at some point I'm going to need surgery. I'll be off a couple of days, but I am fine. Don't worry about me. On the plus side, it means my wife has got to do all the laundry tonight. I am officially out of laundry duty. Back with more phone calls coming up after the quick break.
Now, here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
4145 southbound, tight from Hampton down to past Capitol, and 894 southbound slows in pockets from the Zoo to the Hale interchange. Your eastbound delay is clearing up before Loomis. I'm Kevin Henry, and that's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by the Lynch Automotive family of dealerships.
Tax refund time is here. It's the Your Refund, Your Ride event at the Lynch family of dealerships. Put your refund toward your next vehicle and upgrade your ride today. Happening now. Visit shoplynch.com.
Here's why. Injured? It is about the money. I'm Attorney Victor Harding of Warshevsky. If you're injured, the Warshevsky Personal Injury Firm will make the defendants pay your damages and compensate your loss for the rest of your life. Some very well-known advertising lawyers are afraid to go to trial. They can hang out with football players and put on a brave face, but the insurance companies know when they have a patsy. Make no mistake, who your attorney is can have a greater impact on the result of your personal injury case than even the facts of your case. I vow Warshevsky will prepare to win your case at trial from the moment we take the case. Warshevsky will see to it that your interests are protected now and for the rest of your life. I measure Warshevsky's accomplishments in the hundreds of successful outcomes and judgments that were so punitive to wrongdoers, whole industries have changed the way they do business. Injured? It is about the money. Warshevsky.com, 414-276-4970.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
Ever wonder what it takes to feel truly wealthy and financially comfortable? Schwab asked Americans that question, and most said at least $2 million. But here's the thing, your number might be different. And that makes sense because your dreams, travel, retirement, and the legacy you want to leave are unique to you. That's why you need advice that's just as personal. The team at Annex Wealth Management is ready to listen and help you build a plan that fits your life. Click the Get Started button at annexwealth.com.
Make News Talk 1130 WISN your #1 preset on our free iHeartRadio app, powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
Our favorite 4-letter word. Free! Free! Download the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts. Now,
back to the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Got a lot of texts here. Hey, Dan, just had to let you know that comment your son made me laugh out loud. Tell him thanks for the chuckle. My 15-year-old son, Chris, after I collapsed in a pile on the basketball court while shooting a jump shot. First thing he says to me, "At least you made the shot, Dad." I'm sort of on the shelf. Torn ACL, it looks like. But hey, at least we get Giannis back. You know what this is? This is karmic justice, right? I'd much rather have a healthy Giannis than a fully healthy Dan O'Donnell. As producer Spencer just texts, if Lindsey Vonn can ski on a torn ACL, you can certainly continue to host a radio show. Thank you, Spencer. I get no love. No love. Another texter says, Dan, does your wife know about injured reserve? You've got a torn ACL. You are on injured reserve for laundry duty for at least 6 to 9 months. Back to the phones we go. Let's go to Mike in Mequon. You're on the Dan O'Donnell Show. What's going on, Mike?
Good afternoon, Dan. Thanks for having me back on the show.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine, sir.
Couple-time caller.
What's that?
Couple-time caller.
Okay, well, welcome back, sir.
I'm going to have to up my game after Jay.
Oh, yes, Jay in Mequon. Is that your neighbor? Because, like, he just, if you guys are neighbors, this is like the equivalent. His call was so good. It's like he just pulled up next to you in, like, a brand new Corvette, right? So you got to reclaim Mequon honor here, Mike. No, I'm teasing you, buddy. I know you're going to have a great call.
The reason I'm calling is all this stuff is really driving me crazy, and there was a great segment from the West Wing where the president physician and a medical team is shot down by a Middle Eastern government. And he says, I'm going to strike them down with the wrath of God. And then he talks about Citus Romanus, where citizens of Rome could walk the known world without fear.
Yes.
Because Rome will rain down on them if they hurt a citizen.
Correct.
We've had 47 years of getting our sand kicked in our face by pests, and we just pat them on the head.
Yes.
And say, oh, we're going to blow up a building, but don't do it again. And we've had 9/11, Marines killed, Americans killed, foreign people killed by this mad man and the people around him. And to have people in our country say, what is he doing, when they have convenient memory?
Yeah.
You mentioned it before, Biden, Bush, Clinton, Obama. They've all done this, and somehow Trump does it, and he says, enough is enough. I gave you 10 days. You didn't stand up for it. You're going to get your nose wrapped.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of this. We must stand up for ourselves. America first makes everybody better. Not that we're the most perfect country in the world. God knows we're not. We make mistakes, but we are the best country in the world.
Amen to that, my friend. And bonus points for bringing up the West Wing in a context that actually makes the West Wing sound rational. Believe it or not, that is, I never watched that show because I was always super upset that it would win Emmys when clearly The Sopranos was the best show on television in that era. Sopranos is widely considered, that and Breaking Bad, it's like 1 and 1A, the best shows in the history of television. Who here would put the West Wing up there? But the West Wing constantly won the Emmy for Best Drama Series because it was just a whole bunch of leftists. And that's one of the few clips that I can remember watching because of the concept of civis Romanus, that citizens of Rome would enjoy the protection of just being Roman because of the fear of the Lord that the barbarian world had of harming an American citizen. Now we have a president who doesn't just have the result, but also the technology to be able to rain death and fire down upon anybody who threatens American interests. And the idea that somehow, and I'm so glad, Mike, that you gave us such a good call, because it transitions perfectly into what we're going to get into next. This notion that America just struck Iran out of the blue, that we started this war. You absolute morons. This has been a war that has been going on for 47 years. And we will get you the history that undoubtedly the rest of the media will not when the Dan O'Donnell Show returns.
Now, here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
Southbound on 894 approaching Greenfield, you're a little bit slow because of a stall that's off to the left shoulder. Eastbound 94 heavy from the Zoo interchange to Hawley, and westbound from 25th to Hawley. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Staples. Staples has hundreds of great ways to boost your brand, like spectacular signs, brilliant brochures, eye-popping posters, mouth-watering menus, and more. Shop now through April 18th and save up to $125 on all your custom prints. Staples, that was easy.
When I decided to remodel my kitchen, it was important to see more than just designs and drawings. Wisconsin Kitchen Mart made it easy with more fully built kitchen displays than anywhere else. The showroom made all the difference when making important design decisions. Along with their talented team of experienced designers, decorators, and installers, my dream kitchen came to life.
Celebrate 75 years with Wisconsin Kitchen Mart and save. Book your consultation by the end of May and take advantage of our Celebration Savings event. For 75 years, we've been creating kitchen and bathroom remodels that stand apart. We design kitchens that run like a well-oiled machine, beautiful, functional, and made for everyday living. And yes, bathrooms are designed with the same care. See it all inside our 18,000 square foot showroom with complete displays featuring Play-Doh custom cabinetry, countertops, fixtures, flooring, and appliances, all under one roof. Higher design, higher style, higher Wisconsin Kitchen Mart. Visit WisconsinKitchenMart.com today.
You ever wonder why Verizon charges twice as much as Pure Talk for the same basic service? Think it might have something to do with the fact that Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion? That's billion with a B. Yeah, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. That's why they can offer unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Save an additional 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say the words micro. That's pound 250, micro.
Do you have a written financial plan? Hi, I'm Aaron Kowal of Kowal Investment Group. We have recently joined Creative Planning, a national registered investment advisor. This move allows us to provide more comprehensive wealth management services to help with all aspects of your finances, including your investments, taxes, estate plan, and more. At Creative Planning, we understand life is busy, and sometimes important things like retirement planning can fall to the wayside. So I'm here to remind you to take time to plan. A 1-hour complimentary consultation with our fiduciary advisors will help you get started on the path to your dream retirement. We will review your current financial situation, your goals and needs, and help you plan for life's what-ifs. Don't delay planning for your future any longer. And even if you already have a plan, a second opinion from our advisors can help determine if there are adjustments to make. Kowal Investment Group is now Creative Planning. Visit creativeplanning.com to get started. That's creativeplanning.com.
Hey, it's Dan for my friends at Old Fashioned Roofing, a company that does things the old-fashioned way, right down to their advertising. You've heard me talking about their brand new jingle that taps into the very best of our shared culture in this state. Well, here it is, a polka befitting a true Wisconsin company and one that will be in your head all day, especially while you head to oldfashionedroofing.com.
Just doing some roofing on another lovely Wisconsin day. No gimmicks, no shortcuts, it's just roofing done the old-fashioned way. You betcha. Do you need shingles? Let's mingle. For a Wisconsin tradition never dwindles. So raise a glass, shake a hand for this old-fashioned brand. Whoop, that's old-fashioned roofing.
Told you it would get stuck in your head. Give Old Fashioned Roofing a call at 262-229-8909 or visit oldfashionedroofing.com.
I'm Tom Grieve with Divergent Family Law. You'll hear all sorts of opinions about how to get through a divorce. Well-meaning friends and family will give you conflicting opinions on what they wish they had done or what your next steps should be. Should you play nice or fight them tooth and nail? At Divergent Family Law, we know the laws and we know the judges. We'll help you make informed, confident decisions and be your advocate so you can get the best possible outcome in your divorce. Divergent Family Law, your fair share or better. DivergentFamilyLaw.com.
Dan Voss from Cut and Go here. Spring of 1917, just 14 years after the Wright brothers' first flight, America, determined to darken the skies over Europe with 12,000 combat aircraft, set about crafting 100 million board feet of Pacific Northwest Sitka spruce lumber.
Sonny Voss here. The rest is history. American ingenuity, determination, and might rescued humanity from tyranny. Dad harnessed American ingenuity, developing the remote control, truck-mounted articulated grapple saw Cut and Go uses to safely dominate landscapes.
Grind and Go is committed to your property being eyesore and trip hazard free. Cut and Go will take down dead trees for you to parse into firewood or chip for you to spread, or we can take with us.
Plants and Go designs historic treescapes, delivers them plants in time for you to celebrate your freedom this year.
Happy 250th anniversary. A Tons of Trees movement. CutandGoTrees.com. That's CUTNGO trees.com.
Opinion, emotion, passion. This is News Talk 1130 WISN. Smart speakers get a whole lot smarter when they're playing News Talk 1130 WISN. Just ask Alexa or Siri to play WISN Radio and bask in the glow of insight and enlightenment.
o'clock hour, pretty much everything you have heard Democrats say about Operation Epic Fury is a complete and demonstrable lie. Absolutely everything. From the fact that somehow there needed to be a congressional authorization for any sort of action, to the idea that somehow the United States started this war, all of it is a lie. The truth is that the United States has been at war with Iran and has been the victim of terrorist attacks from Iran since literally 1979. On November 4th of 79, Iranian students, backed by the new revolutionary government under the Ayatollah Khomeini, stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, taking 66 Americans hostage.
Some 60 Americans, including our fellow citizen whom you just saw bound and blindfolded, are now beginning their 6th day of captivity inside the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. It's Friday morning there now, but throughout this night in Washington, officials will continue their search for some way to negotiate the hostages' freedom.
Most of those hostages were diplomats and embassy staff members. 52 people were held for 444 days. In addition, 4 Americans died in a failed rescue effort of those hostages. In July of 1982, the acting president of American University of Beirut, David Dodge, was also kidnapped. He was held for a year. The following year, April of 1983, a suicide car bombing of the U.S. Embassy in Beirut by the Islamic Jihad, one of the precursors to Hezbollah, killed 63 people, including 17 American diplomats and military personnel. October of that same year, one of the deadliest terror attacks in world history.
And now the number is 191 in the Beirut massacre. 191 Marines dead in the explosion at their headquarters at the Beirut airport.
The final death toll, 241 American service members, 220 Marines, and several others. The deadliest attack on U.S. Marines since Iwo Jima. The following year, March 1984, CIA Beirut station chief William Buckley was kidnapped, tortured, and eventually killed in 1985. A video of him being tortured was sent to President Ronald Reagan. June of 1996, the Khobar Towers bombing in Dhahran, Saudi Arabia by the Iran-backed Hezbollah al-Hejaz killed 19 U.S. airmen and injured nearly 500
Some
others.
60 Americans, including our fellow citizen whom...
In 2003, the Iraq War started. And for the 8 years that was in effect, Iranian-backed Shia militias, trained and armed by Iran's Quds Force, including the use of IEDs and improvised devices, killed at least 603 American troops. Roughly 1 in 6 combat deaths in Iraq were to Iranian terrorists. January 2007, Karbala provincial headquarters was raided in Iraq by Quds Force operatives disguised as American soldiers. 5 U.S. soldiers were killed. Flash forward to January 8th, 2020. In response for the attack on Qasem Soleimani, there was a ballistic missile assault on Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq. This caused traumatic brain injuries to more than 100 U.S. service members, but fortunately no deaths were reported. March 23rd, 2023, a drone strike on an American base near Hasakra, Syria, killed 1 American contractor injured 5 American troops. January 28th, 2024, a drone strike by Kataib Hezbollah on Tower 22 base in Jordan killed 3 U.S. soldiers and injured more than 40 others. In fact, over the past 3 years, we've seen a surge in proxy attacks. More than 180 reported on U.S. forces in Iraq, Syria, and Jordan as part of the broader Gaza and Israel conflict, resulting in 3 U.S. service members being killed and more than 180 being injured. The end result, hundreds of Americans killed, captured, terrorized, brutalized, all by a force that is now decapitated. This was not a strike that came out of the blue. In reality, this past weekend was 47 years in the making.
Here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
Southbound on 894 approaching Greenfield, you're a little bit slow because of a stall that's off to the left shoulder. Eastbound 94 heavy from the Zoo interchange to Hawley and westbound from 25th to Hawley. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by the Lynch Automotive family of dealerships.
Tax refund time is here. It's the Your Refund, Your Ride event at the Lynch family of dealerships. Put your refund toward your next vehicle and upgrade your ride today. Happening now. Visit shoplynch.com.
Your home cleaning friend, it's Edelman again. Edelman.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for Mander Collision and Glass, where I've been taking my vehicles for years. People always ask me, Dan, are they really that good? And I always say, they're better. The workmanship is outstanding, and it's backed by a lifetime warranty. But what really sets Mander apart is the customer service they provide and their attention to detail. Just listen to this 5-star review from Greg. Brian and the crew took excellent care of my car. Professional, friendly, and kept in good contact throughout the entire process. Could not recommend a better place. Thanks for the great service and experience. The work they did was awesome, and my car looks amazing. Mine always have 2, Greg. That's why I've referred at least a dozen friends and family members to Mander over the years, and all of them had the exact same experience that Greg did. You will too. All you need to do is to start your repair today by heading to mandercollision.com.
We're the Libby family
at Do-It-Yourself Bathroom Center near State Fair on 62nd and Greenfield.
If your bathroom needs work, we're the place to go.
Our people really know their stuff, and we install.
Plus, nobody beats our prices. Remember our slogan,
I did it myself at Do-It-Yourself.
I'm medical doctor Jennifer Grieve. My experience in the ER led me to establish Reset Restore MD intravenous ketamine therapy centers in Brookfield and Mequon. The holidays can be hard for good people suffering from depression or anxiety. Our society often stigmatizes discussions and prevents people from seeking the help they desperately need. Reset Restore MD was founded on the principle that every Wisconsinite deserves the chance to live life without their dark clouds choking them when they wake up. Our treatments empower patients to reset and restore their relationships, including their most important relationship, the one with themselves. If you or someone you love is dreading getting together with family and friends due to depression or anxiety, intravenous ketamine therapy may be the solution. Patients undergo what they call life-changing treatments in our state-of-the-art clinics in Brookfield and Mequon. Sessions take about an hour and are done within 2 to 3 weeks. This season, don't forget to take a moment to prioritize someone's mental health, including your own. R&R for Relief, Reset Restore MD, rnrmd.com. That's rnrmd.com.
Hey, it's Dan O'Donnell for CertaPro Painters. Protect your home inside and out with quality paint and a worry-free process. Their free estimates are detailed, easy to understand, and you get a quote right away. And each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated right here in our community. Schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C Pro.com, and ask about their spring sales event for 10% off qualifying projects through May 15th.
This winter might not have been the worst one on record, but it's up there. Aside from being hard on people, it's even
been tougher on our homes. Hi, it's Jay from my friends at Semperfi Roofing. If the freeze-thaw cycles this winter created even the slightest crack in the shingles or sealant on your roof, you're going to have water in your home this spring when the rains hit. That's why you need to call Semperfi today and schedule a free 21-point roof inspection before the rainy season. They'll go over every inch of your roof and review their findings with you, and if they do find a problem, it can usually be fixed with an inexpensive repair. But if it is time for a new roof, you couldn't hire a better company than Semperfi. They offer over-the-top customer service, have highly skilled crews that install a perfect roof every time, and best of all, they offer a 50-year leak-free guarantee on every roof they install. So give them a call for your free roof inspection today, 262-600-2910, or online at semperfiroofing.com.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semperfi.
Men's wedding bands made from whiskey barrels and meteorites.
Welcome to Kessler's.
I've got a math question for you. When you add tolerance, subtract prejudice, and multiply efforts to treat one another with respect, what do you get? Less division. And school sports have it down to a science. Looking for an example of what can happen when we realize there's more that unites us than divides us? Look no further than high school sports in Wisconsin.
This message presented by the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
You know what forever confuses me is I get a whole lot of trolls on social media, and I found that one of the best ways to find out whether they actually know their stuff is to say, hey, you should call into the show 3 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, 414-799-1130. Say you want to debate. We'll put you on. You get a minute, I get a minute. We go back and forth. This show is 2 hours old, and I must have spent an inordinate amount of time while monitoring the situation in Iran, as pretty much every dad did. It is an ongoing joke whenever there's something going on in the world that dads all over need to monitor the situation. That pretty much means plopping their butts in front of the TV and putting on Fox News to watch the coverage of whatever it is that's going on. I actually was sort of monitoring to try to determine whether we needed to break in and do live coverage or anything like that. If I needed to do live streaming, then of course that was interrupted by me completely shredding my knee. But while I was doing it, I was entertaining myself on social media by just saying, look, if you've got something to say, come on and debate me on the air. Producer Doug, in the 2 hours of the 3 we were on today, has there been anybody calling up who wants to debate? This is so weird. No? No one named Mary P? No, that's weird. No one named Matthew? No. No one named Malcolm? No. That's so weird. So weird. Time now to name the unsung hero of the day. Of course, this one's pretty obvious. Our unsung heroes today are all of the heroes engaged in Operation Epic Fury. Those are Americans, those are Israelis, those are those from any other country that is joining the fight against the despotic regime in Iran. And that includes the civilian populations of those countries and here in the United States supporting the war effort, doing whatever it takes to make sure that the single greatest evil in the world's leading sponsor of terrorism for half a century, cannot rise up again and cannot kill or subjugate innocent people. All those taking part and fighting in Operation Epic Fury, your unsung heroes of the day. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, I would love for anybody to call up and give me some of those left-wing talking points about the War Powers Resolution, about the fact that we're all of a sudden super concerned about Congress not issuing a war declaration. about the fact that this is going to be a forever war, about the fact that this was just a war for oil. It's almost like they're dusting off all of the same talking points from the first or the second Bush administration, that this is going to be the Iraq war quagmire all over again. And the bottom line is that, quite simply, wars are not fought like they were fought 25 years ago. That we have seen such dramatic technological advances that we're just not going to see. And in fact, President Trump has been repeatedly calling on the Iranian people to step up for themselves and to rule themselves, to finally have the freedom that they had for eons before these truly insane radicals took over, thanks to the feckless leadership of, what do you know, a Democrat president in the White House in Jimmy Carter. This was, I almost said Billy Carter there, by the way. I don't know why Billy Carter suddenly popped in my head. We would have been better off with Billy Carter and his Billy beer in the White House. Then, not only did you have Jimmy Carter usher in the Islamic Revolution and basically stand by with the fall of the Shah and allow dozens of Americans to be held hostage for 444 days. After he was president, would you believe that he was out there basically through a back channel to the Iranian regime, providing information and doing his best to undermine the United States? All right, we'll take your phone calls. We'll debunk some liberal myths. 414-799-1130 when the Dan O'Donnell Show returns.
All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the Annex Wealth Management Studios. Annex Wealth Management. Know the difference. Stay informed all day, every day on News Talk 1130 WISN. Milwaukee, an iHeartRadio station. Guaranteed human.
Good afternoon. I'm Dave Michaels. One person is in custody after a shooting at Aurora Sinai Hospital in downtown Milwaukee early this morning. Fox 6's Carl Deffenbaugh.
This was overnight. Police were called to 12th and State just after 2 this morning, and officers say someone shot a 40-year-old and a 38-year-old. Police took a 37-year-old man into custody in connection to this.
Meanwhile, Milwaukee police are still looking for a suspect after a fatal shooting near the Deer District Saturday night. A 47-year-old victim was shot multiple times and died at the scene between Fiserv Forum and UWM Panther Arena. Cole Apple lives in Milwaukee.
It's something that we should be taking action on, more policing for sure. The fact that this happens this isn't nothing new, you know. This is a story going on, Water Street, 3rd Street, Brady Street, somebody's always getting shot.
And at the White House today, President Trump said the point of the bombings in Iran over the weekend was to not only take out their military and nuclear capabilities, but end their sponsorship of militant groups in the Middle East.
This was our last best chance to strike what we're doing right now and eliminate the intolerable threats posed by this sick and sinister regime.
Checking the Holiday Automotive Fond du Lac Sports Scoreboard, Bucks and Celtics tonight at Fiserv. Tip time, 6:30. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Dave Michaels on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
This hour of the Dan O'Donnell Show is presented by Warshawski Law.
Insurers don't want to pay. We'll make them pay. Injured? It is about the money. Warshawski Law.
From the Odoo.com Weather Center. Odoo.com, the only business software you need.
Increasing clouds tonight, temperatures dropping into the upper 20s. Cloudy with a little bit of freezing drizzle early on Tuesday morning. Otherwise, a cloudy and drizzly day with highs in the low to mid 40s. I'm Fox 6 Chief Meteorologist Tom Walks.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Need it today? At Lowe's, pros get free same-day delivery by 8 p.m. when you order online by 2 p.m. Same-day delivery. Valid in select zip codes. Subject to driver availability. Details at Lowe's.com/same-day delivery.
Everyone around here knows that Saz's is the finest, and here's a way that could make you a winner. From now through Friday, March 6th, listen to WISN on the iHeart app, hit the red talkback mic in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, and in your voice, record your name and your favorite Saz's menu item or memory. Through a random drawing, one winner will win a Saz's VIP experience, food, drink, and a ball game accompanied by our own Benjamin Yount. It's all part of Festa Sazama, 50 years of the finest, March 26th through the 29th.
At Ross Dental, your journey to smiling like you just don't care because you don't isn't paved with anxiety, discomfort, or judgment. People should be judged by the content of their character, not the straightness, color, or condition of their smile. No matter how much restoration required, Ross Dental's gentle, caring staff won't judge you. Ross Dental does cutting-edge laser dentistry, maximizing patient comfort and health. Laser removal of tooth decay requires 0 shots. For almost everyone, it's painless. Procedures are faster, no numb mouth, 0 shots. Smile like you just don't care, because you don't. RossDentalNewBerlin.com. Lasers don't churn up infected tissue. They kill bacteria, fungus, even viruses, dramatically reducing infection-spreading bioaerosols old technology drills cause. Laser dentistry is ideal for cavity treatment, and less collateral tissue damage treating gum disease or canker sores speeds up recovery. Ross Dental's convenient payment options, low, even no radiation imagery, and sedation dentistry eliminate every reason to neglect your teeth. Schedule your cleaning or cosmetic assessment today, and soon you'll smile like you just don't care, because you don't. RossDentalNewBerlin.com.
A small business affirmation from Progressive. Bakery owners, you will be loved today. Every pastry will be flaky. Your cake will make a child's day. Your delivery van won't get sideswiped by a distracted garbage truck driver. But if so, breathe easy, knowing you'll get back to business quickly with Progressive protecting your commercial auto. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Following the attacks on 9/11/01, FDNY firefighter Daniel Foley assisted in the rescue and recovery efforts at Ground Zero. Daniel spent months and months searching for victims. Now, Daniel's death was the direct result of 9/11-related cancer. He leaves behind his wife, Carrie, and their children. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family's home. Join us. Donate $11 a month to the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Get your rock solid guaranteed pre-approval to buy at ACCUNET.com.
Kowal Investment Group, now Creative Planning, is a registered investment advisor. Now for your business report from Creative Planning. For informational purposes only, past performance is not indicative of future results.
Good afternoon. This is Anthony Priester with your closing business report. The major averages were mixed today as stocks attempted to recover from steep declines earlier in the session, while investors bought the dip following U.S. and Israel strikes on Iran over the weekend. Elsewhere, shares of Palantir Technologies jumped over 5% following the company's fourth quarter earning results. The U.S. government revenue accounted for 41% of Palantir's sales in the fourth quarter and stands to increase as a result of increased defense spending. At the close, the Dow was down 73 points, the S&P 500 was up 2 points, the NASDAQ was up 80 points. From Creative Planning, I'm Anthony Priester.
The United States launching what the president is calling major combat operations.
Iran's formerly supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead.
Sources say when intelligence officials learned the supreme leader was above ground in his office and meeting with Iran's top leaders, they struck.
God bless you to our incredible warriors, and God bless the United States of America.
Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show. As the United States has struck Iran, decapitating the terroristic regime, the Ayatollah is dead. So too are many members of his senior leadership team. The U.S. and its Israeli allies have spent much of today actually trying to ensure that there is no power vacuum through which an even worse regime can jump through, essentially destroying Iran's Navy, gaining air superiority in the entire region pretty much instantaneously, and ensuring that there are no sort of splinter groups that sort of rise up. What President Trump has been doing all weekend long, he did so in another video posted this morning, directly addressing those in Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps and the people on the street. Remember, it was just a couple of weeks ago that Iranians were taking to the streets in massive demonstrations, possibly the single greatest threat to the Iranian regime's power in a long time. Well, what happened? These spontaneous protests, which were not backed by Israel, they were not backed by the United States, they just sort of sprung up. The proof there is because if this was an astroturfed thing that was going to sort of be the precursor to the airstrikes that ultimately killed Khamenei, it would have happened, the strikes would have happened immediately afterwards. Unfortunately, Iran's crackdown on those protesters killed upwards of, I mean, nobody is quite sure. The most pessimistic estimates are somewhere near 32,000 people killed. I mean, think about that. That's the size of like Greenfield in southeast Wisconsin, maybe New Berlin. I don't actually know the populations offhand, but this is a good-sized city of protesters who just want freedom, killed by this despotic regime. And in a video posted today, President Trump again said, look, we stand with you. Lay down your arms. If you are loyal to the past regime, you will have immunity. Now it is up to you to take back your country.
I once again urge the Revolutionary Guard, the Iranian military and police to lay down your arms and receive full immunity or face certain death. It will be certain death. Won't be pretty. I call upon all Iranian patriots who yearn for freedom to seize this moment, to be brave, be bold, be heroic, and take back your country. America is with you. I made a promise to you, and I fulfilled that promise. The rest will be up to you, but we'll be there to help.
414-799-1130 if you would like to join the Dan O'Donnell Show. You can also do so via email, dod@iheartmedia.com, at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, Facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show. We are on Instagram as well, streaming live pretty much everywhere, as well as on our YouTube channel. You can also find us in podcast form. Just search for the Dan O'Donnell Show. Please do subscribe, like, thumbs up, follow us on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you're a fan of the show, best way to show it is to subscribe to the Dan O'Donnell Show podcast. Show the powers that be that we are not just a force on the radio, but also in the podcasting space. Now, the biggest talking point that I have heard emerge over the last 48 hours or so is that the president somehow did not have the authorization, that this was unlawful, that the president would dare to do something like this without a congressional declaration of war. Can any liberal, I will give liberals $100 of my own money if they will call up right now and tell me the last time Congress authorized war. Seriously. Just tell me. Because we've had, let's see, War on Terror, Iraq War, we've had Operation Desert Storm, we had the Vietnam War, we had the Korean War, World War II. It was 1942 the last time Congress declared war. Now, we can debate over whether or not this is ultimately a good thing. Do we have the president, who does have the inherent authority as commander-in-chief of the United States military, to engage in limited military action when it is not possible to inform Congress or gain the consent of Congress? For example, let's say we went to Congress very publicly and say, okay, Congress, is this thing on? We need you guys to declare war on Iran. We're going to strike Iran. We're going to wait until the Ayatollah and all of his top aides are in the same place. And then either us or Israel, we're just going to bomb the hell out of them. What do you say? What do you think would happen? Would such a thing be possible if you had 435 people in the United States House? Two of them are Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. Is there any doubt that Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar would tip off the Iranian regime? Seriously. And I'm not saying they're loyal to the Iranians. I'm saying the two of them have demonstrated that they despise America that much. Would you believe that Rashida Tlaib actually in a tweet this weekend referred to the United States as they. They. A representative of the government, an elected member of the House in the United States, they, referring to the United States. The War Powers Resolution absolutely authorized. A War Powers Resolution is a law passed actually over the strenuous objections and veto of Richard Nixon in 1973, which accounts for the more modern ways that wars were fought. The War Powers Resolution allows the president, and the wording here is to introduce U.S. forces into hostilities without prior congressional approval in a case of, quote, national emergency created by attack upon the United States, its territories or possessions, or its armed forces. Now, people who support a broad interpretation of the WPR extend this to repelling imminent threats. Ever since the law was passed, presidents have obviously said, hey, we have an imminent threat here. Now, you can argue whether, okay, the War Powers Resolution itself, just the text would say, okay, is there an attack on American forces? Even then, I ran down 47 years of attacks on American forces. American troops have been killed by Iran and its terror proxies for nearly 5 decades. Now we've got them attempting to rebuild their nuclear program under the guise of only building up their intercontinental ballistic missile supply, trying to build missiles that could literally hit the United States from Iran. Bad enough that they have choked off the Straits of Hormuz, that we've had Houthi militants literally attacking American ships for months and years before Trump finally did something about that, and then threatening and attacking American military and civilian installations across the region. You defy all logic, reason, when you suggest there has been no attack by Iran. But let's even use the broader interpretation, as pretty much every president has done since 1973. Iran's rapid advancement towards nuclear weapons and long-range ICBMs necessitated this assault. In fact, Secretary of State Marco Rubio had the best, most succinct answer when asked, okay, how was there an imminent threat? I want you to listen for 2 minutes and 12 seconds. This should be required viewing for every single person who doesn't understand the imminent threat that Iran posed and would have continued to pose had the Ayatollah and his top aides been allowed to stay in power.
The question that's been asked is, why now? Well, there's 2 reasons why now. The first is it was abundantly clear that if Iran came under attack by anyone, the United States or Israel or anyone, they were going to respond against the United States. The orders had been delegated down to the field commanders. It was automatic, and in fact, it bared to be true, because in fact, within an hour of the initial attack on the leadership compound, the missile forces in the south and in the north, for that matter, had already been activated to launch. In fact, those had already been pre-positioned. The third is the assessment that was made that if we stood and waited for that attack to come first before we hit them, we would suffer much higher casualties. And so the president made the very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces, and we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed. And then we would all be here answering questions about why we knew that and didn't act. Going back to the purpose of this is to destroy that missile capability. Why does Iran want that ballistic missile capability? capability. What they are trying to do and have been trying to do for a very long time is build a conventional weapons capability as a shield where they can hide behind their nuclear ambitions. They are producing, by some estimates, over 100 of these missiles a month. Compare that to the 6 or 7 interceptors that can be built a month. They can build 100 of these a month, not to mention the thousands of one-way attack drones that they also have. They've been doing this for a very long time, and by the way, they've been doing it under sanction. You see the attacks they're conducting right now? They're attacking airports, they're attacking hotels, they're hitting not just military bases, they're attacking our embassies directly, they're attacking facilities that have nothing to do with war or with military, and that's a weakened Iran. That's in Iran despite years of sanction. Imagine a year from now, or a year and a half from now, the capabilities they would have to inflict damage on us. It's an unacceptable risk, especially in the hands of a regime that's run by radical clerics. The Ayatollah was a radical cleric. That entire regime is led by radical clerics.
So you've got religious fanaticism, a deep, abiding hatred of Jewish people, and a repeated desire, stated desire, a blood oath to destroy the state of Israel, one of America's closest allies, where, by the way, a whole lot of people who have dual Israeli and American citizenship live. And you're telling me that Iran, of all nations, Iran posed no imminent danger to the United States. It's almost laughable. The idea that somehow there's no legal or moral justification in striking Iran. But seeing as Democrats don't seem to understand anything until you put it in terms that they can understand. Let's say, I'm going to use a hypothetical for you libs. Let's say the year is 2028. It's Trump's last year in office. He just says, screw it. And he authorizes the United States military to drop 26,171 bombs on 7 different sovereign nations: Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, Libya, Yemen, Pakistan, and Somalia. What would you say to that? That would be awful, right? How dare he? 26,171 bombs were in fact dropped during the last year of Barack Obama's presidency on Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, Libya, Yemen, Pakistan, and Somalia. The fact that we just dropped bombs on Iran is no different legally, it is no different morally, and if anything, it was far more legally and morally justified than dropping bombs on any of those nations, because Iran has been the global leader in terrorism for 5 decades. Now, we'll dispel some more myths, some more lies about Operation Epic Fury next.
Now, here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
Westbound on 94 going to be stopping and going from 27th to Mitchell Boulevard. Got eastbound delays starting at 84th, clearing up at Hawley, and slowing again from the stadium over to 25th. I'm Kevin Henry, and that's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Tap In Golf in Waukesha and Sussex.
Tap In Golf Bar in Waukesha and Sussex isn't just for golfers. It's your go-to sports bar, too. Watch your favorite games while playing world-class courses on full-swing simulators. Or just stop in for a drink. For more, go to tapingolfbar.com.
Do you love the way your home looks? Hi, Colleen from Tri-County Contracting. When you pull into the driveway, do you think, yes, this is my style and how I want my home to look? If not, we can help. We want you to love your home again. We do everything on the exterior of your home: roofing, siding, windows, doors, and gutters. We will help you design your home to fit your style. If you'd like to take your time looking at roofing and siding, there's lots of helpful tools on our website or in our new Berlin showroom to help you create. If you want help designing or just someone to bounce ideas off of, we would love to have you meet with our design consultant, Jenny. She will meet with you and turn pictures of your home into design renderings. Imagine driving up to your home and loving it. Let's transform your home into the home you've always wanted. It all starts with a call or a visit to TriCountyContractingWI.com. Roofing, siding, and windows that will make you love your home again. Tri-County Contracting.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for CertaPro Painters. Now is the time to complete that painting project you've been putting off, and CertaPro Painters provides a free estimate quickly and at the right price. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated right here in our community. So schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, pro.com. And ask about their spring sales event for 10% off qualifying projects now through May 15th. Hey, Dan O'Donnell for Mander Collision and Glass, now with 7 locations to serve you across the greater Milwaukee area. Start your repair right now at mandercollision.com. Mander truly is the best decision after a collision.
Make News Talk 1130 WISN your #1 preset on our free iHeartRadio app. Powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
Debunking a whole lot of liberal myths and outright lies that you have undoubtedly heard about the Operation Epic Fury that killed the Ayatollah Khamenei, a whole lot of his top aides. Possibly, I'm getting conflicting information about the former president of Iran, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. I believe he is dead, but some sources are reporting he's still alive. This is what's known as the fog of war. We won't entirely know, although we do. I mean, Iran state TV reported the death of Khamenei, and that's about as official as it gets. Also, there is a picture floating around social media, which I am led to believe is genuine, of the body of Khamenei lying in the rubble. Obviously, standard warnings about it. It's not super graphic, but it is a dead old guy lying in a pile of rubble. Let's go out to the phones. Anthony in Brookfield, you're on the Dan O'Donnell Show. What's going on, Anthony?
Hey, Dan. Thanks for taking my call. I'm one of those good old not getting involved in foreign interventionist guys, George Washington farewell address style. And what I wanted to bring up here about I believe that was Marco Rubio you were playing the clip from, although I came in right when you started.
Yeah, that was Rubio, Secretary of State Rubio.
Okay. So he said, well, field commanders of Iran had received orders that if they were to be attacked by anyone, they would attack America. Therefore, since America knew Israel was going to attack them, we had to preemptively attack. Therefore, we did that. So how come we wouldn't just reach out to Israel and be like, hey, we're still in the middle of negotiations. Why don't you hold off?
Anthony, great minds, my friend. Great minds. I said the same thing when I heard that right before my show. I'm like, you couldn't, Trump couldn't have been like, Bibi, my brother. Hold up a sec. No, apparently, as I understand it, Israeli intelligence knew that there was going to be an imminent attack on Israel, that there was going to be a massive, deadly attack, and then Israel was going to necessarily preemptively. This is sort of the old entangling alliances.
Does intelligence confirm that, though? Because
it's difficult. It's difficult to tell.
That weren't true.
It's welcome to intelligence, Anthony. Right. It's it's the reality is that we can never quite be sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, what I can tell you.
A war, though, and we need to make an appeal to the American people.
Well, hold on a sec, Anthony. What I can tell you is that right the day of Trump's State of the Union address, Marco Rubio actually briefed members of both parties in Congress about apparently an imminent threat that Iran was Like, this was, the briefing was the day of the State of the Union. We have obviously no idea this about as classified information gets, but there was a picture of Chuck Schumer walking out of that meeting, looking ashen-faced for the first time in possibly Chuck Schumer's life. He did not want to talk on camera, and it was believed, holy crap, whatever Rubio just told him, it's bad. Right? We obviously have no idea what has been what was said in that meeting. What we also know, though, with the diplomacy with Iran is they're not a good faith actor. Like, they were not negotiating with us in good faith. Essentially, they were stringing along American negotiators, and it was either Witkoff, I think it was Jared Kushner, said, look, all they're doing is a delay tactic, and what we know is that they're trying to rebuild their missile.
Everything we were asking reasonable, though, as well. Like, to get rid of someone's entire missile program, would America agree to get rid of their Air Force? Any condition ever.
If we vowed that all Jews were going to die and we're sponsoring terror networks all over the region.
Ahmadinejad in a public speech, I believe, in 2010, something like that.
Buddy,
like,
the Ayatollah Khamenei has been calling for the death of Jews and America for 30 years. You're not going to get very far arguing that this was just some old peacenik who was kicking around the hacky sack in between lectures at Columbia University. This was an evil regime that was not just saying, "Oh, hey, you know, we're gonna kill them." They were targeting our merchant ships, not military ships, merchant ships through their Houthi proxies for years. I mean, the Straits of Hormuz, where something like 20% of the world's oil goes through, that was for a long stretch impassable. The idea that you can negotiate in good faith, or even, frankly, I think it's a little insulting that you would equivocate, well, if someone was saying the United States can't have missiles. Yeah, okay, we don't just kind of shoot those missiles. We don't kind of give them to, like, terror groups. What if we were giving missiles to the KKK, right? And we were saying, hey, why don't you go shoot those babies at some black churches in Mississippi? I could see other countries stepping in and saying, yeah, you know what? We should probably take away America's missiles. That's what Iran has been doing for nigh on 5 decades. And you see how that's a massive, massive problem. You can't allow an actor like that. And what happened, by the way, when Iran was attacked? Did it just attack Israel? Did it just attack the United States? It launched missiles in every direction, all but ensuring all of its Middle Eastern allies were not going to come to its aid. Negotiations simply couldn't continue because I'm not entirely sure these were actual negotiations. The other myth that has been propagated over the past 48 hours is that somehow this is a forever war, that somehow this is going to be a quagmire that, you know, we're going to be in forever and ever and ever, like Afghanistan or Iraq or Vietnam. This myth got kicked into turbo drive because of comments made today by President Trump, who said, we're going to be in there as long as it takes.
Substantially ahead of our time projections, but whatever the time is, it's okay. Whatever it takes, we will always, and we have right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks, but we have capability to go far longer than that. We'll do it. Whatever somebody said today, they said, oh, well, if the president wants to do it really quickly, after that he'll get bored. I don't get bored. There's nothing boring about this. Do you agree with that, Pete? I don't think there's anything, Mr. General. I think there's nothing boring about it.
Okay. So this has people thinking, well, Trump is saying it's going to be a forever war. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth shut this down immediately first thing this morning.
To the media outlets and political left screaming endless wars. Stop. This is not Iraq. This is not endless. I was there for both. Our generation knows better, and so does this president. He called the last 20 years of nation-building wars dumb And he's right. This is the opposite. This operation is a clear, devastating, decisive mission. Destroy the missile threat, destroy the Navy, no nukes. Israel has clear missions as well, for which we are grateful. Capable partners, as we've said since the beginning, capable partners are good partners. Unlike so many of our traditional allies who wring their hands and clutch their pearls, hemming and hawing about the use of force.
Here's the thing about our traditional allies, though. By the way, a great statement by the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. Our allies in Europe are well behind us. Mark Rutte, Secretary General of NATO.
I really commend what is happening here. Taking out Khamenei, taking out the nuclear capability in Iran, but also taking out the ballistic missile program in Iran. This is crucial. And what I see in Europe, I spoke with all the key European leaders over the weekend, is widespread support for what the president is doing, and also making sure that when it comes to logistics, access, defending key U.S. interests in Europe and in the region, the Europeans are really stepping up.
So Europe is behind this. Much of the Middle East is behind this. And if it wasn't before Iran just sort of started randomly firing weapons after it was attacked on Saturday morning, it certainly is right now. Much of the entire world is behind this. Even Iran's so-called closest allies in Russia and China, they're suspiciously quiet right now, aren't they? We'll bust some more myths, take some more phone calls, and be right back to it when the Dan O'Donnell Show returns in just a second.
Now, here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
Southbound on 894, heavy from Cleveland to Beloit with a crash block in the left lane. 4194 northbound down at Highway K. Got a stall on the entrance ramp. You can get by on the left. I'm Kevin Henry, and that's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Tap In Golf in Waukesha and Sussex.
Tap In Golf Bar in Waukesha and Sussex isn't just for golfers. It's your go-to sports bar, too. Watch your favorite games while playing world-class courses on full swing simulators. Or just stop in for a drink. For more, go to tapingolfbar.com.
David Brownsdorf here, disclosing Flawless Flooring's secret weapon to businesses other than flooring company owners.
Whoa, sounds scary.
Scary good. Our iNet website, SEO, and radio marketing completely transformed Flawless with incredible results, delivering opportunity, spurring business growth.
Thought you were going to say, after months of alchemy, you've created a carpet stink and stain removal magic elixir.
That would be a carpet knife and dumpster.
Flawless Flooring added carpeting to both showrooms, becoming a true one-stop flooring shop since coming to iNet.
And we have the best flooring website in Wisconsin.
Likely the best anywhere. More important, how are sales?
Since partnering with iNet, sales doubled. iNet's laser-focused SEO drives insane traffic to our site and customers to the showrooms. Hiring iNet is casting a net, catching all the right customers.
Clever, Dave. Sensory Underload. Flawless Flooring. FlawlessFlooringLLC.com.
Not as clever as your creative genius branding and radio ad writing. iNet-web.com. CreativeGeniusMarketing.com.
iNet will improve your business's economy.
The only real estate agent I trust here in Milwaukee is Justin Hoffman with RE/MAX Lakeside. Now, thanks for joining me today. A lot of real estate companies are making instant offers these days. What makes yours different from what they're offering?
Sean, that's a great question, and our differences are gigantic. First, we're going to pay the consumer $2,500 more than any bona fide offer they got from any other investor. Second, we're also buying property as is, where is. That means not only do you not make any repairs, you can even leave any miscellaneous personal property behind that you don't want to take out. We also close for cash within 7 business days, and I don't think it can get any different or easier than that.
All right, thanks for keeping us up to date. Just go to wihomeeval.com. That's wihomeeval.com. Or just Google Team Hoffman and check out over 700 5-star reviews.
Hey, it's Vicki McKenna for Byrna, the compact kinetic self-defense tool you've been hearing me talk about. Politicians aren't even trying to hide what they're doing. They are putting criminals first and victims last, and that's how they want it. If that weren't true, we would not have a 50+% unsolved crime rate in the United States. And the police are under pressure from corrupt politicians who cut their budgets and undermine them at every turn. Because public safety isn't the goal. fear is. None of us voted for this, but here we are in 2026. So self-protection is up to you. And that doesn't only mean getting a CCL and carrying a gun. Consider Byrna, the compact, less lethal launcher for times when a gun is not an option. Byrna is a self-defense tool that's equipped with less lethal rounds designed to disable an attacker so you have time to escape. Byrna is really small and easy to conceal. It has zero recoil, and it requires no background checks. It's perfect for anyone, including your elderly relatives or your kid in college. Go to Byrna.com today to find the right launcher for you. That's BYRNA.com.
You understand the premise?
Yes, the premise is a promise.
And the promise is for our big bank
to be like First American Bank.
No. We promise to try and be like First American Bank.
What?
It's impossible for us to be like First American Bank. They have the best loan deals in town.
Really?
Really. And First American Bank gives you a First American Bank loan specialist who works with you every step of the way.
No.
Yes.
So no shuffling them around from department to department, person to person?
Just a First American Bank specialist to make the loan process quick, easy, and smooth.
So First American Bank can do everything a big bank like us can do and more.
Yeah, makes me nauseous too.
Ooh, better idea. We just promised to be more like First American Bank. I mean, is more or is less than more still more?
Oh.
We'll fool everyone.
Yeah, love it.
Thank you.
First American Bank, the bank that does more for your money. Visit firstambank.com or call us at 262-577-2400. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This winter might not have been the worst one on record, but it's up there. Aside from being hard on people, it's even tougher on our homes. Hi, it's Jay from my friends at Semperfi Roofing. If the freeze-thaw cycles this winter created even the slightest crack in the shingles or sealant on your roof, you're going to have water in your home this spring when the rains hit. That's why you need to call Semperfi today and schedule a free 21-point roof inspection before the rainy season. They'll go over every inch of your roof and review their findings with you, and if they do find a problem, it can usually be fixed with an inexpensive repair. But if it is time for a new roof, you couldn't hire a better company than Semperfi. They offer over-the-top customer service, have highly skilled crews that install a perfect roof every time, and best of all, they offer a 50-year leak-free guarantee on every roof they install. So give them a call for your free roof inspection today, 262-600-2910, or online at semperfiroofing.com.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semperfi. This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in Wisconsin. This is sportsmanship. School sports. It's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show. We are busting some myths about Operation Epic Fury. Pretty much everything you have heard about it is a lie, including this. Gas prices have gone up today. Folks, you sweet summer children who have never lived through Middle East conflicts. Gas prices always spike. National average, according to AAA, today, $2.99 for a gallon of regular unleaded gasoline. Now, Trump is just, oh God, he's been terrible for gas prices. Guess how many days out of the 1,400 that Joe Biden was in office, gas prices were higher than they are today? Roughly 1,000. So until we get to year 4 of $3 gasoline, yeah, there's a temporary spike, but don't forget, gas prices have dropped by about $1 in the last year. This is actually kind of surprising. I got to give Matthew in Madison a heck of a lot of credit. I called him out saying, hey, come on and debate, and he actually is right here. Matthew, welcome to the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Well, I might not be many things, Dan, but I try to at least be a man of my word. So
hey, I appreciate that a lot. And you know what? You are a man who has the courage of your convictions, and hope this didn't interfere with your job or anything like that. But the floor is yours. I'm going to give you one. So here's how it works. Just So we're clear. I'm going to give Matthew 1 minute to make a point. I'd love to go longer, Matthew. I would. It's already 5:42, and we got to keep this thing moving. I'm going to give you a minute. It's actually a lot longer than you think to make your points about Iran. Then I'll refute them, and then I'm going to give you 30 seconds, and I'll get 30 seconds. Sound good?
That's fair. I have one question I want to ask you at the end, and I promise it's not a gotcha question.
Okay, fair enough. All right, go ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
Okay, well, I don't know that I'll take a whole minute or not. You might be a little disappointed in my position. I'm probably not the radical left that maybe you think I am, but regardless, I think this issue in Iran is very different from some of the other ones you've compared it to with Libya or Syria. I'm not trying to make the argument that this is an illegal war. I'm not trying to defend anything Iran has done. We are obviously better off without this regime.
Sure.
My concern was that I think this whatever we want to call it, war, whatever we want to call it, I think is more closely aligned with what happened with Iraq. I have obviously major concerns about that, and I think as a country, this should have been debated more. This should have been something that should have gone to Congress. Again, I'm not saying it's illegal. I think this is something that should have been debated. I think this administration should have shown up, should have made its case, and we should have gone from there.
Matthew, how dare you? Actually sound perfectly reasonable and make excellent points. Frankly, I don't think there's a whole lot to refute there because honestly, you take a very rational, moderate, understandable position. I will disagree with you. Libya was always about regime change back in 2011, so it is very akin to that. Your fears about a forever war like we had in Iraq and Afghanistan are obviously insanely well-founded. Why? Because we just had forever wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. However, the reality is that the War Powers Resolution and the history of declarations of conflict going all the way back to 1942 clearly allow this sort of action. Not only that, wars are fought very, very differently than they were even 25 years ago, even 15 years ago in Libya and in Iraq and in Syria. The reality is we don't need American boots on the ground. We have such vast technological and air superiority. The last war we supposedly fought in Venezuela was over in about 35 minutes. So I'm very curious, Matthew. What is the question you want to ask me?
Yeah, so my question, I don't want this to sound like a gotcha question.
No, not at all.
I don't mean it like that. But, you know, I mean, I am not a fan of Donald Trump. Never have been.
Sure.
Probably never will be. He campaigned on America first, no wars, et cetera, et cetera. If, to you, do you think that this was what he meant by America first back then, or do you think something has changed that this has become America first now? I'm just trying. I'm not making the connection to he talked about America first and the lack of wars, and now here we are, and we're trying to spin this as, well, this is America first. Was this what he meant back then?
Sure.
Or did something change?
Matthew, I got to tell you, I am really not liking this because I am genuinely liking how thoughtful your questions are, and you seem like a really good dude. I'm not going to lie. So, hey, you are welcome on this show anytime, my friend, and I really do appreciate you calling up. To answer your question, my guess is this obviously is, so I am much more of the, and it's become a slur in conservative circles, I am much more in the neoconservative wing. So I came of age politically a quarter century ago with 9/11, with the Iraq War, understanding the threat of radical Islam, and also understanding that what underpinned pretty much everything in radical Shia Islam was coming from Iran. Like, Iran does not just exist as a nation state. Iran has its tentacles in Hezbollah, before that Islamic Jihad, in the Houthi militants, which were attacking American ships, in Hamas, in the Palestinian Authority, in pretty much every entity that has attempted to kill Jews in Israel and across the world. That's all been Iran. I think something did change in President Trump. I mean, the man is the only person I've ever seen brag about the FIFA Peace Prize? Like FIFA Soccer gave him a Peace Prize, right? He wants that Nobel Peace Prize so badly. But I think what happens is every president and every person who goes in before they know the intelligence that, frankly, you and I don't see, they say, okay, we can just give peace a chance and we could talk about all of this. I think the issue was Iran was so unspeakably evil and was moving towards, like, the bragging about completely destroying Iran's nuclear program. They put a lot of eggs in the Fordo basket in Tehran, but clearly there were still scientists, there was still enriching capability, and the information, I think, was coming in that Iran was rapidly building up not just its regional ballistic missile technology, but also its ICBM technology. And the fear was they could either develop their own enriched uranium or potentially get some from their ally in Russia and deliver a payload on those intercontinental ballistic missiles to the U.S. homeland, or at the very least, Israel or some other American base in the region. I mean, they've been doing this literally since the attack on the Marine barracks in 1983. I mean, it's consistently been Iran or its proxies attacking the United States. Ultimately, I think Trump saw, and frankly, there's a soundbite that's going around. I didn't have time to play it today. I think we'll get it tomorrow. Trump in 1980 talking about, this was right after the hostage crisis, talking about Iran and what he would do, and he sounded shockingly consistent. Not only that, he did say on the campaign trail, to be fair, Matthew, he said something to the effect of, I will bomb the bleep out of them. So he's always kind of straddled that line between America first and swinging his you-know-what around, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I think that's the hard part that many people on the other side, on the left, have, is just trying to square that together and put that together. Just the inconsistencies, and that's what he is. I mean, I will concede the point that there are a lot of inconsistencies about Trump, and he seems to sort of waffle day to day. Hey, Matthew, really do appreciate your call. I see how reasonable minds can disagree. It happens. Hey, you're a good dude, buddy, and drinks are on me next time I'm in Madison. Do we have time to go to Tammy? Let's go to Tammy down in Daytona Beach, Florida. Tammy, I didn't like that last call because he was a really nice guy making reasonable and very good points. I just don't like you because you're down in Florida and it's like 35 degrees here.
Well, that's okay. We've had for Florida. We have had a hard winter.
You know what?
A lot of my plants are dead.
My mom is down in Naples, and she says she's been wintering in Naples forever, and she says it's been the worst winter weather in Naples probably since she's been down there. She's been down there since like 2012.
I've been down here since 2004, and this is the worst winter we've had.
That's it. I feel you. So what's going on, Tammy? I don't really hate you. We love you down in Florida.
First, I want to thank you for the commercial break because it helped me pull myself together because I was getting really emotional with your call screener.
He wasn't being mean, was he?
No, he was not. I got up in the morning after finding out what had happened overnight, and I looked at my husband and said, finally, somebody is taking retribution for the friends that we lost. My husband was in Beirut in 1983.
Oh, my goodness.
He was in the Navy. I was 19, married. I'm sorry, I'm getting watery.
No, that's okay.
3 months old. And for 10 days, I didn't know if I was a widow or not. My husband had men shot off the back of his ship. What people don't know is how absolutely evil these people are. They would come out with girls in bikinis and speedboats during the day, waving to the guys, flashing them, doing all the things to get a bunch of horny sailors to, wave. But what they were really doing was tagging where that ship was. And then if anybody went out at night, and had a cigarette, which they weren't supposed to do, but people don't always listen.
Right.
They did after the second guy got shot and was killed.
Oh, my goodness.
Off the back of the ship.
Jeez. So
President Trump is the only person who seems to have finally cared that Beirut happened. People don't even remember it.
Yeah.
I have spent decades with people going, oh, there was something that went on in Beirut. I'm like, are you kidding me? Over 300 men were killed.
Yeah.
And what about the coal? People just forget about that. So am I thrilled with this? No, I'll be honest, I'm not.
I don't think anybody is. Right.
No, but did it need to happen? Yes. You know, I have a son-in-law who did 2 tours over in the sandbox, Kuwait and Afghanistan. Like I said, my husband was in Beirut. None of us are enjoying this. In fact, we are trying to avoid the media because it just ramps up the PTSD to a level 12. The nightmares my husband's been having the last few nights, they're expected. But
jeez.
But thank you to President Trump for finally giving the darn. I'm sorry, I'm also trying to really watch my language.
Tammy, wow, that is an incredible story. I can see why I'm getting emotional listening to you, Tammy.
Yeah.
How many of
people haven't cared?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that absolutely boggles my mind. In last hour, I kind of ran down all of the various attacks that Iran was responsible for. I even left out the Cole, the USS Cole. That was Al Qaeda. Al Qaeda was getting material support. You could include Iran in 9/11 because they were providing material support and intelligence for Al Qaeda for pretty much all of Al Qaeda's existence, right? You know, Al Qaeda in Iraq. All of this was Iran's doing, and it's like people don't remember, or they don't care, or they just hate Trump so much. And what I think is more diabolical, they dislike this country so much that fundamentally they have a tendency to side with our enemies. Tammy, I'll tell you what, we are running up against the end of the show. I'm so sorry your husband had to go through that. Give him a big hug and know that all of our listeners, Dan Nation is with you guys. We support you. And this one is for all of your and your husband's old buddies, okay?
Thanks.
All right. God bless you, Tammy. Wow. I did not expect for it to be that emotional. Are we out of time for the show? Man, I guess we got to end a little early. My apologies. Back tomorrow right here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Talk to you then.
From the Lynch GM Superstore in Burlington Total Traffic Center.